Hello and welcome back to another Football Commentaries live stream. The scene is set at Stamford Bridge for this Monday night football in the Premier League as Chelsea host Newcastle in this mid-table fixture on paper as it is 11th versus 10th. Chelsea are currently in the bottom half of the table and a win tonight wouldn't change that at the moment. Their home form in the league has not been the greatest with just 5 wins from their 12 at the Bridge, with their last home win coming back in January to Fulham. Only a point was picked up in their last game away to Brentford, a team they still haven't beaten since Brentford returned to the Premier League a couple of seasons ago. For Newcastle, they sit 10th and 3 points for them would lift them up to 7th on goal difference. They gained a valuable 3 points in their last game at home to Wolves, who were also chasing Europe. That game ended 3-0 with goals from Isaac Gordon and a first Newcastle goal for Livramento. The Toon have got a horrid away record this season with just 3 wins from 13, but 2 of those 3 away wins have come in the new year to Aston Villa and Nottingham Forest. These 2 sides have already met home and away this season. The first game was a 4-1 thumping of Chelsea at St James's Park, with 3 second half goals coming for Newcastle to give them all 3 points. But Chelsea did get their revenge in the League Cup quarter-final on penalties after a late equaliser from Mikhailo Mudryk in added time. So, in the 58th edition of Chelsea versus Newcastle in the Premier League, can Pochettino find a needed 3 points, or will Newcastle get themselves back into the European places? It is a very important game for both, very much more so, I believe, for Chelsea. This top half of the table is slowly and quite miserably fading away. I mean, the aim for Chelsea this season with Pochettino and no Europe was to get back into the European places and get into Europe again next season, but it's just been so slow in the league this season. I mean, when I've watched them quite recently, I've been rather impressed with them, but clearly they are just not being able to build a run of real results which can get them up the league table. Like I say, a win tonight leaves them in 11th, unfortunately, as Newcastle are in 10th on 40 points and Chelsea are 4 behind them with 36. So, imagine no win tonight for Chelsea. It would really leave them slumped in the bottom half, and that is, of course, somewhere they just cannot be. A size of club like Chelsea just cannot be in the bottom half, especially for a second season in a row. They finished 12th last season, Chelsea, and it was their lowest league position finish since the 94-95 season, where they finished in 11th. And it's just been an absolute nightmare of a campaign, really, in the league. They've got a lot of young players, a lot of inexperience. They need to do quite a lot of quick gelling, this Chelsea side, but they've got quality to be higher than 11th. But I think that also just puts into picture the overall quality of the Premier League and how all the teams out, even outside the top 6, are really, really good now. Obviously, Brighton are having their dip in form, but Brighton are up there, West Ham, Wolves, Newcastle as well. It's not just that top 5 or 6 teams who are, got the strength in this division. Every team's got their own way of winning in this league, really. They've got world-class players, a lot of the teams in this league, so it's been difficult for Chelsea. Like I say, 5 wins in the Premier League at home. Their last coming against Fulham back in January, but they haven't played at home for quite a while, Chelsea, in the Premier League. Their last home game was on the 4th of February, so well over a month ago, and that was a 4-2 defeat to Gary O'Neill's side. So they haven't played at Stamford Bridge in the league for some time. The last 3 have been away from home, I do believe. They have drawn their last 2 games to Brentford and Manchester City, and of course losing that League Cup final to Liverpool. They've also picked up 3 points recently away at Crystal Palace. That was when Roy Hodgson was still in charge. But it is a difficult opposition to face tonight for Chelsea, but Newcastle, as we've already mentioned, have been really poor away from home this season. Like I say, 3 wins from 13 this season for Newcastle. It's just quite simply not good enough. They won 8 from 19 last season away. They only lost 3 times away from home last season. Newcastle to Liverpool, Manchester City and Aston Villa, 3 teams where it is rather respectable to lose in fairness. But already this time out, they've already lost 7 away games. That is ridiculous, to lose 7 Premier League away games. They have lost 6 of their last 8 away from home, Newcastle. So even though it will be a tough opposition for Chelsea, because Eddie Howe has built a really strong side at Newcastle, and especially with the way they play their high pressing play, it's definitely a team who have struggled on their travels this season. They have recently won away from home in the FA Cup to Blackburn Rovers, getting them into the quarter-finals, where at the weekend on Saturday, Newcastle face Manchester City at the Etihad for a place at Wembley in the semi-finals. But for Chelsea, they are also in the FA Cup at the weekend. They take on Leicester at home, who are obviously doing really well in the Championship at the moment in terms of their position. I know they've hit a bit of a rut at the moment, Leicester, but that'll definitely be a game that Chelsea fancy to try and get back to Wembley once again, like they were very recently in that League Cup final. But I definitely think that Newcastle should take positives from their last result against Chelsea in the Premier League, winning 4-1 at St James's Park. But I commentated on the League Cup quarter-final between these two, and Newcastle got a rather early goal through Callum Wilson in the 16th minute, and then sat back for the high majority of the game. And we know that Chelsea do struggle against low blocks, and they struggled that night as well. But Mykhailo Mudryk came to the rescue and scored and added on time. But it'd just be interesting to see if Newcastle set up in a similar way, sit deep and defend quite close to their own goal. It'd just be an interesting tactical battle out there, because I do believe that Newcastle have the players to be a bit more adventurous than what they were in the quarter-final, but it nearly worked for them. They nearly got through. Just penalties was the decider in the last time these two sides met at Stamford Bridge in that League Cup quarter-final. But we'll go through both sides here, and we'll start with the home team, and it is Chelsea, who have made 2 changes from their last game in the Premier League against Brentford. George Petrovic remains in goal despite Robert Sanchez returning from injury, and he's back on the bench, the goalkeeper signed from Brighton. Back 4 of Malo Gusto, Axel Disasi, Trevor Chalobah, and a returning Mark Cucurella, who had been injured since the 16th of December. He returned back to the bench against Brentford, but he's making his first minutes back in a Chelsea shirt tonight, and he's never beaten Newcastle in his previous 4 meetings against them. 2 holding midfielders of Moises Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez, £200 million worth of central midfielders. On the right-hand side, it's going to be Cole Palmer. On the left is Raheem Sterling, and through the middle, making his 125th Premier League appearance, is Conor Gallagher. And leading the line up front, he has got 8 goals so far in the Premier League, 1 in his last 7 that he's played, and that is Nicholas Jackson. For Newcastle, it is Martin Dubravka to remain in goal. Was brought into the team on the 2nd December due to the Nick Pope injury. Back 4 of Tino Livramento, who scored on his 50th Premier League appearance last week to Wolves at home. Left back is captain for Newcastle tonight, that's Dan Burn. And 2 central defenders of Fabian Schär, who started every Premier League game so far this season. He plays alongside Sven Botman, who's making his 10th start in a row in the Premier League. 3 central midfielders. Holding is going to be Bruno Guimaraes, and just 2 in front of him is going to be Joe Willock, former Arsenal player, and Sean Longstaff, who made his 170th appearance last time out against Wolves, at home last weekend. And up front, leading the line on the right, is going to be Miguel Almiron, who's only got 1 in his last 20 Premier League games, really lacking the goals, the Paraguayan. On the left is going to be Anthony Gordon, who scored his first ever Newcastle goal here at the end of last season in the 1-1 draw between these two at Stamford Bridge on the final day of the season. And up front, playing through the middle, is their number 14, that's Alexander Isak. He is currently getting the nod up front as Callum Wilson is injured, and Isak has currently got 11 Premier League goals, and his goal against Wolves last week was his first since the 13th of January. So maybe for Alexander Isak, he is back in his goal scoring form. That goal last week to Wolves was Isak's 25th in a Newcastle shirt, and that is one of 4 changes that Eddie Howe has made from the lineup against Chelsea in the League Cup quarter-finals compared to the one tonight. And we're about to get underway here at Stamford Bridge for this 8 o'clock kickoff in the Premier League. It's Pochettino against Howe in a battle at the Bridge where both teams need the 3 points if they want European places come the end of the season. And it'll be Chelsea to kick off, kicking right to left. Newcastle left to right. Tonight's referee is John Brooks, the 34-year-old referee who's been officiating in the Premier League since 2021. It'll be Enzo Fernandez to kick us off for Chelsea. He plays it back into the centre half of Chalobah, who sends it long and high down the right-hand side for Chelsea, headed away by Dan Burn, headed back forward by Axel Disasi, controlled here by Sterling, took away from him by Longstaff. It's now with Fabian Schär, forward to Guimaraes, midway side the Newcastle half. He gives the ball away to Caicedo, but he's been pickpocketed there by Willock, who can burst beyond the halfway line. He's got an option out to the left, and he finds Anthony Gordon here in the final third, running at Malo Gusto. Anthony Gordon onto his right foot in the area, goes back to Guimaraes, ball through towards Burn, cut out by the head of Gusto. Caicedo, tackled there by Guimaraes. Willett can't keep it alive on the edge of the area, cleared for Chelsea to the halfway line, chested forward by Schär, played out to the left here to Burn, who goes down the line, it deflects off Cole Palmer, who will retreat the ball here for Chelsea, and he goes back into the back four here for the home side here, and to the right back of Malo Gusto, who's really performed well the last couple of months since the injury of Reece James. And here is the returning Cucurella. Fernandez back into Chalobah towards the byline here. Cucurella just keeps it in, right on the corner flag. He spins and clears it, and last touch comes off Almiron, and it'll be a goal kick for Chelsea. Got themselves a bit trapped there. The back four, especially Marc Cucurella, who was able to turn and clear onto the body there. I believe it was Almiron who blocked the clearance. And we are 90 seconds in here at Stamford Bridge. No chances at goal. And it's Chelsea to build from the back with this goal kick to the left centre half of Chalobah in the 6-yard area. Back across to Petrovic. Isak closing him down. Curls it out to the right back, Gusto. It goes well behind the full back and out for a throw for Newcastle. Good pressing from the away side to force the mistake from the Chelsea goalkeeper. It's now on the edge of the area with Isak. Bit of time to turn and get a ball in towards the far post here. It goes towards Almiron. Beyond him and beyond Cucurella. Collected by Longstaff, who just about lets it go out. Couldn't quite keep it in there, Longstaff. And there'll be a throw-in in the left-back position here for Chelsea. As it's quite a bright start from Newcastle. And if they score tonight, it'll be Eddie Howe's 400th goal in the Premier League as a head coach. He's currently on 399 goals scored and 446 goals conceded. He picked up his 100th Premier League win as a head coach in their last game to Wolves as well. But it's interesting how Pochettino is stuck with George Petrovic in goal for Chelsea, even though Robert Sanchez has returned from his injury, the Spanish goalkeeper, who returned back against Leeds in the FA Cup. As I say, Newcastle throwing here in the final third on this near side with Livramento. Finds Almiron towards the byline here. He's got Cucurella holding him from behind. Nothing given by the referee at the moment, and it's another throw-in as the Spanish left-back kicks it through the legs of Almiron. And it's another throw-in here for Newcastle with Livramento, formerly of Chelsea himself. He is a Chelsea supporter. Was at the club for 12 years. His throwing goes to Isak, round the corner to Longstaff, headed away by Fernandez, then by Disasi, out of the 18-yard box towards Sterling, hooked over the head of Livramento, only as far as the head of Fernandez on the edge of the area. It goes towards Sterling, dealt with by Livramento, and Guimaraes will restart, booting the ball all the way back to Dubravka on the edge of the 18-yard box, touches heavy, just about clears it beyond Nicholas Jackson, who was closing him down. It's a perfect ball to Gordon on the halfway line, he's tripped by Gusto, and that'll be a free kick for Gordon, I believe. No, just a throw-in given instead for Newcastle, just towards the halfway line on the far side. It's Burn with the ball, volleys it forward, looking for Isak, who's just drifted out to the left-hand side, dealt with by Disasi, he heads it forward to Gusto, and then back to Petrovic in the 18-yard box, who clips it out to the left-hand side into Cucurella, controls it with his chest, lifts it over the head of Livramento, looking for Sterling, brings it down nicely, away from Longstaff, Schär's chasing him down, but Sterling in the centre circle can play it out to the right-hand side here to Cole Palmer. He will stride forward with the ball, running it down Burn into the final third. Enters the area. Two black and white shirts in front of him here, Palmer. But he'll scoot the ball in towards the far post. Straight to Livramento, who can control and bring the ball out of the area. Goes inside to his left here to Almiron. And then to Longstaff. Back forward to Livramento. Then into Longstaff again. And just settled in a right-back position there on the ball, Longstaff. Now in the 18-yard box with Fabian Schär, who has played Chelsea 11 times previously, and 2 of the times were for Basel in the 2012-2013 Champions League group stages. Now it's Newcastle on the ball, just under 5 minutes in. They've definitely started the better, I'd say. Newcastle at the moment, who are looking to make it 3 wins on the bounce in all competitions. As it's Armour running towards goal here on the edge of the area, through to the run of Longstaff, who crosses towards the 6-yard box, deflects off Cucurella, straight into the hands of the Serbian goalkeeper Petrovic. Really good engine to have in the midfield for Newcastle. As it's Petrovic on the ball in the 6-yard box. Desarsi bringing it away on this far side. Down the line to Gusto. Great ball inside to Palmer, who's got away from Gordon here. Palmer in the centre circle, drifting from the right-hand side towards the more central area for Chelsea. Back out to the right here to Gusto, who will bring it down. Here's Gusto, thinking about an early cross. He's going to run it down Burn instead. Then put a low cross into the near post, dealt with by Botman. Not very well cleared there. Then Palmer will give it a go. And it squirms into the bottom left corner. Not quite sure how it's ended up in the back of the net. But despite early dominance from Newcastle, it's Chelsea with their first chance. And they end up putting it in the back of the net. It looks like it may have took a deflection off Nicholas Jackson, who looks to be claiming the goal. Palmer had the original shot. It seemed to just deceive Dubravka in one way or another, as Palmer was the one to really start the move with the ball out to the far side to Gusto, who decided to run it down Burn, down that right flank, crossed it low, deflected off Burn, not dealt with very well by Botman, straight to Palmer, who just had the shot with the right foot. And I think it's a nice little flick by Jackson. It was going wide. Oh, it's beautiful from Nicholas Jackson. There's no fluke involved in that. That is brilliant. Palmer with the right-footed shot. He was just dragging it wide of the far post. And it's gone towards Jackson, who's just flicked his left boot at it. Just brought it inside the post and into the back of the net. That's a brilliant finish. Really like that from Nicholas Jackson. And he gives Chelsea an early lead here at Stamford Bridge, despite being on the ropes a little bit in the opening exchanges, as Newcastle were pressing Chelsea high. As they've got it on the edge of the area here, Guimaraes pokes into the box for Armour. Back to goal, lays it off Longstaff, tries to get beyond Fernandez, but it's a strong challenge from the Argentine midfielder. And it's Chelsea back on the ball in the left-back area here with Cucurella. Fernandez on this left-hand side finds Gallagher, and then back into Cucurella. Now forward to Sterling, looking in behind for Jackson. Well cut out there by Schär, about 10 yards inside his own half. Goes out to the right-hand side now to Almiron. He's got the overlap of Livramento, but Cucurella's only forcing him backwards there. Brilliant from Cucurella. That aggressive press that Chelsea need if they want to disturb the Newcastle flow. But he will go down as a Palmer assist, and that is his 8th assist in the Premier League this season. And for Nicholas Jackson, that's goal number 9 in the Premier League. Now with Newcastle on the halfway line with Guimaraes, as he just shrugged Caicedo off the ball, and the Ecuadorian's gone down here for Chelsea. Maybe slightly winded, maybe an arm into the chest there. As I was just reading before on Bruno Guimaraes, the Newcastle midfielder, that he is of interest of Manchester City, apparently. I mean, I know Manchester City are linked to a lot of players because they have the money. Let's have a look. Guimaraes just... I don't know what he's actually done there, if I'm going to be honest. I don't... He's holding his like almost rib cage there, Caicedo, but I just didn't see the contact from Guimaraes to hurt him in that area, to be honest. But we are just about to hit the 9th minute. Chelsea lead, Jackson goal. Palmer had a shot from around the edge of the 18-yard box, pulling it towards the bottom left corner. It was going wide until Jackson decided to flick it with his left boot to send the ball on target and into the net. So smart from Nicholas Jackson. He's had his criticisms this season for maybe not being as clinical as he should be at times, but that's his 9th of the season in the Premier League. It's his 12th in all competitions. It's Livramento from right back as we're back underway. Into Almiron in the final third. Livramento's continued the run. Almiron crosses it instead towards Isak on the penalty spot. Just cleared away from him by Disasi. It's up to Jackson, who heads it out to the right to Palmer. Controls it away from Byrne. Pass forward comes off Botman towards Caicedo, who keeps it away from Isak midway inside the Chelsea half. And it's now on the edge of the box here with their right centre half of Disasi. Plays it forward low to Palmer. Out to the right through the legs of Byrne into towards Jackson, who gives it away, looking to find Palmer on the return. Gordon around Gusto, but can't quite keep the ball in on the far side. And it's a throw-in towards their defensive third here for Chelsea. It'll be taken by Malo Gusto, who provided a beautiful assist last week for Nicholas Jackson's goal against Brentford. So it's back-to-back goals for Nicholas Jackson. He did put Chelsea 1-0 up last week in the 35th minute. It was a brilliant header. Gusto's got the throw in here. Into Gallagher. Keeps it away from Guimaraes, but loses it to Longstaff. It's now in a central area here. And out to the right to Livramento, who is in the area. Crosses towards Isak, and it's a sliced volley away by Chalobah. And it's out for a throw in the final third for Newcastle on this near side. Livramento looking to take it as quickly as possible. But instead he's going to just take his time. Slow it down. Livramento, who's played all minutes so far this season against Chelsea in both the Premier League game and the League Cup. Now Almiron again trying to go back towards his own goal, and it's quite lazy that in the end as he was found offside. The throw-in went to Longstaff, who then flicked it towards Almiron, and he was coming back from an offside position. So free kick for Chelsea in the left-back area. It's Chalobah stood over it, and he runs over it and leaves it here for Petrovic, who will take it. So Chelsea are going to go a little bit longer here, try and get up the field if possible. So it'll be Petrovic to take. Just the 2 clean sheets for him in the Premier League since he's come into the side. And he goes long into the Newcastle half, headed forward by Scher, headed out to the left by Fernandes to Gallagher. It's now towards Cucurella, cut out by Almiron, kicks it off Gallagher, throwing for Newcastle, midway inside their own half, on the near side. So still a bit of work to do to get into a dangerous area, but at least they've got the ball back. And if Eddie Howe loses tonight, it will be his 10th defeat against Chelsea. He won his first meeting against them at the Bridge. It was 1-0 back in December 2015 with Bournemouth. But he has picked up 6 wins in his previous 17, so not too bad, especially when he's been the manager of Bournemouth and Newcastle, which usually have lesser quality squads than Chelsea, as they've given it away here through Guimaraes in the midfield. It's now out to the right to Palmer, in the area, in the corner of the box on the right-hand side. Left-footed strike towards the near post. Easy save for Dubravka. No way he was going to catch him out there, Cole Palmer, who's only scored 1 in his last 5 in the Premier League. Looking to score his 13th Chelsea goal tonight. Or maybe even more if he can bag a brace, or maybe even a hat-trick. Never scored previously against Newcastle, Cole Palmer. He's now on 10 goals and 8 assists this season in the Premier League. As Almiron, about 15 yards inside the Chelsea half, on the near side, falls back into his own half here as he's been closed down by Fernandes. Big switch out to the left by Scher, looking for Gordon, who will give chase to it towards the corner flag, and it's volleyed into the stands by Gusto. Taking no risks there, the French right back, who made his first French national team appearance in October of last year. Malo Gusto, who has impressed many in the Chelsea side this season, just at the age of 20 years old as well. The Chelsea number 27. And there is Gareth Southgate in the stands. I'm sure he'll be looking at the likes of Sterling, Gallagher, Palmer, maybe Chalobah as well at the back for Chelsea. He's quite versatile as Shea lets fly from 25 yards, off balance slightly, so the shot's gone very wide, about 5 or so yards wide in the end. And for Newcastle, he could be looking at the likes of Livramento, Byrne maybe, Willock, Longstaff, Gordon, plenty of English players in the Newcastle side. And squad in general, in fairness. They've got a few English players on the bench as well. Especially the likes of Lewis Miley, who looks really exciting at the age of 17. His Chelsea player at the back goes across the 18-yard box to Disasi. He's got Gordon right next to him, but he can clear down the Chelsea right. Looking for Jackson, who's peeling out to the far side. Beaten to it by Botman, who clears out of play. Throwing midway inside the Chelsea half here for the home team. And Chelsea haven't been consistent all season, really, but their start to the campaign was really slow. Just one win from their first 6 Premier League games, and that win was to Luton at home. But they've seemed to have picked up a bit more than that throughout the season, as a switch ball out to the left towards Sterling's dealt with by Livramento, heading back to his goalkeeper of Martin Dubravka, who's only ever beaten Chelsea twice in his career, Martin Dubravka, and they both came at home at St James's Park. It's on the edge of the 18-yard box. It's their number 4, Sven Botman, who played Chelsea twice in the Champions League when he was at Lille in the 21-22 campaign. As Dubravka will clear down the Newcastle right towards Livramento, goes over him and Cucurella, and out for a Chelsea throw-in inside their own half for their number 3. As it looks like Livramento has picked up an injury here. Hopefully he'll be okay to continue, as the ball went towards him and Cucurella. Oh, he's just gone over his left foot. They are always painful. He's getting back to his feet now. Doesn't require any medical treatment. It was nothing to do with Cucurella. Just as Tino Livramento was backtracking, he's just gone over his left foot. Yeah, they always hurt, them ones. But it is interesting to see Kieran Trippier on the bench tonight for Newcastle. Scored an own goal here last season, Kieran Trippier, in that 1-1 draw they played out on the final day of the season. Dubravka tries to go out towards the Newcastle right there, but it's gone straight over the head of Almiron, and it's a throw for Chelsea just towards the halfway line, thrown back into their own half here to Chalobah, who's back in Pochettino's plans for now. Missed the entirety of the season with a thigh problem, but returned last month. And now he's making a few starts now for Chelsea, back-to-back starts for him. It's Nicholas Jackson on the right wing position, gets beyond Gordon, tackled strongly by Botman, but ball drops to Gusto in the final third, drives inside, across the 18-yard box, Gusto lifts it through for Palmer, on his left foot, can't let fly, good tackle from Byrne. Only falls as far as Caicedo, about 25 yards from goal. Lays it off to his midfield partner just right next to him, and that's Fernandes. Back out to the right here to Caicedo. Gallagher, the captain, into Caicedo, and they've been forced back here. Chelsea on the halfway line with Disasi. He's now in a right-back position with Caicedo. Back into the Chelsea half we go here with Disasi. It's with the goalkeeper Petrovic on the edge of his 18-yard box. Good pressing here from Newcastle. As it goes out to the left here to Cucurella, forced to backtrack ever so slightly. Keeps the ball in. Cucurella facing forward. Goes inside to Chalobah, who runs into traffic there of Bruno Guimaraes, who just knocks over Chalobah. And that'll be given as a free kick for Chelsea. Got away with that, Chalobah. Nearly was punished for that heavy touch. Thanks everyone. If you could like and subscribe, that'd be absolutely fantastic. Two European commentaries coming in the week. Tomorrow we've got Arsenal's second leg against Porto, which is 1-0 to Porto on aggregate. And we've got Rangers Benfica, which is 2-2 after the first leg. So they're the next two commentaries coming up. Then we've got a double header on Sunday. There's Brighton women take on Manchester City women at 12:30. And then we are doing our first La Liga game of the season. There's Atletico Madrid welcome Barcelona. As we are underway here with Jackson losing the ball, trying to find the overlapping run of Gusto. He's back in the 18-yard box for Dubravka. Plays it to his left to Botman. Back into Dubravka in a full pink jersey tonight for Newcastle. Lifts it down the left-hand side. Byrne heads on to Gordon, who's onside. He lets Isak take over instead, who then flicks it into Gordon in the left wing position. Here is Gordon on the edge of the area, running across the box, laying it off for Isak. Lets it go through here for Livramento. Guimaraes back through for Livramento, slides it across with a sliding tackle. And it comes off Cucurella, and it'll be a throw-in next to the corner flag for the away side, who have continued their positive start. They're quite unfortunate to be behind in the game. It was their first Chelsea chance that they had, and they scored it. So it'll be Tino Livramento with the throw. Goes just slightly backwards to Almiron. It's now on the halfway line in the centre circle to Botman, who's looking forward. Goes to his left to captain Byrne. Forward to Gordon. On once more here to Willock. 1-on-1 with Disasi in a left wing position in the final third. Goes back inside to Gordon. Bit of time on the ball for Newcastle number 10. Low ball towards the edge of the area. Volleyed away by Chalobah. Headed backwards by Botman to share in the Newcastle half. And the away side are back in possession once again. But before Newcastle's away win at Aston Villa at the end of January, they'd gone 7 Premier League games without a win. Still not a great record, but they've also won at Forest this year as well. That came in February. But they have lost 6 of their last 8 away games in the league. There's Willock on the far side. Goes forward to Gordon, who keeps the ball in here. Back into Willock. Nutmegs Gallagher. And he's then slide tackled by Enzo Fernandez. Loose ball can't drop to Gallagher. Taken off him by Guimaraes. Quickly moved out to the right-hand side to Livramento. Short ball by Longstaff, but he regains it, but then loses it once again. Cucurella takes it off him, pokes it forward to Sterling. He tries to get across Livramento, and he does do so very nicely. Lets Jackson take over, who will strike it towards the bottom left corner. It's an adventurous strike from Nicholas Jackson, who's already got one tonight. Struck that from around 25 yards out. Just didn't quite catch it. Never looked like it had the real pace and precision to worry Dubravka. It was quite a simple save in the end for the Slovakian goalkeeper. As it remains 1-0 Chelsea here, 20 minutes in. Ball over the top by Livramento down the Newcastle right. It's played out of touch by Chalobah. He tried to control and clear, but he could only get the touch off and out of play. It went for a Newcastle throw-in in the final third here on the near side. As Chelsea have only kept 3 clean sheets at home this season in their 12 Premier League home games to Fulham, Sheffield United and Luton. So it's definitely teams you'd expect them to shut the door against and not let any goals in. It's in the centre circle here with Newcastle. Sven Botman, all Chelsea players behind the ball. It's now with Byrne. It's assessing the options, goes out to the far side here to Gordon. Down the line to Willock. Being followed by Disasi. Kicks it off the French centre-back. Throwing again for Newcastle on the far side this time. Taking quickly to Gordon. Finds Isak, 1-2. Gordon in the area. Just goes into the absolute giant of Disasi. And he wins the ball back for Chelsea. Caicedo waiting for the right pass to make. He'll play it through for Palmer. Nicely done there by Caicedo. Palmer now running at Byrne. Can go on the left or the right foot. He decides to go for the left. Plays it across the box here to Fernandez, who wants to shoot. Tries to open up the body and guide it into the top right corner. But it's always going high and wide there by the Argentine World Cup winner. And it still remains Chelsea 1, Newcastle 0. And a bad attempt there from Palmer. Turning in, then out, then in, then out. And making Dan Byrne just lose his bearings a little bit. I don't think Byrne really knew which way to go then. And he played a nice calm ball across to the edge of the box to Enzo Fernandez, who couldn't quite work the shot on target. But all of Enzo Fernandez's Chelsea goals have come this season. 7 altogether in all competitions. 3 of them in the Premier League, including the brace against Brighton in December. And then 1 away at Palace in mid-February. Now it's out to the Chelsea left on halfway. Picked up by Livramento, who is then tripped by Cucurella. And that'll be a booking, I think, for the former Brighton defender. It was a heavy touch forward by Livramento, and it was there to be won for Cucurella. But he just got there last and caught the Newcastle number 21. Yeah, bit of rustiness maybe there from Marc Cucurella, who has been out since the 16th of December with injury. Guimaraes over the head of Gallagher. Gets the return from Longstaff, but kicks it off Jackson to Enzo Fernandez. Chelsea back on the ball. Quickly out to the far side to Palmer on halfway. Over the top for Jackson, who remains onside. Won't beat Botman to it. Who gets his foot around the Senegalese striker and clears it. But only finds gusto in the final third now. He's got a run of Palmer ahead of him. Finds him on the byline. Keeps it in. Tries to take on Guimaraes at the left-back area, which well dealt with by the Brazilian. And then he's pulled down by Chelsea's Palmer. And that's got to be given as a free kick, and it has been. Didn't think he'd give it in the start there, but it had to be given by the referee. Clear pulled by Cole Palmer on Bruno Guimaraes, who's coming up to 100 Newcastle appearances. This is appearance number 96 for the Brazilian. And since joining Newcastle in January 2022, Guimaraes has played every minute of every game possible against Chelsea. As the free kick just inside the 18-yard box towards the byline will be taken by Dubravka. Down the Newcastle left beyond the halfway line, headed into the air there by Byrne towards Gordon, headed forward by Caicedo. Gallagher. Caicedo to his left to Fernandez, then into the space here for Cucurella on the halfway line, plays an early ball down the line, looking for Jackson, who comes across to the left-hand side, shoves Livramento in the back. And that'll be a free kick for Newcastle in their right back area in the defensive third. Just a arm in the back there by Jackson on Livramento. Gordon beyond the halfway line, keeping away from Palmer at the moment, but then tackled by Gusto, and Chelsea will look to attack as quickly as possible as they enter the Newcastle half on the far side with Palmer. Has to force his way back as he was being closed down by Gordon, but then it's well worked inside by Caicedo to Fernandes. Sterling in the central area, just outside the centre circle. Plays out to the right to Gusto. He's got Palmer to his right, but Gusto will go in his own in the area. Around Byrne, and the cross is low, and it's dealt with by Botman. Helped away by Byrne. Controlled by Caicedo. 22 yards out, left-footed. Just never was going to catch that one right. Caicedo, and dragged wide for a goal kick. That would have been some goal for Caicedo, which would have been his first in a Chelsea shirt. Only scored twice for Brighton. One of them in the league last season in a 5-2 win to Leicester. Ball forward towards Isak. Loses out aerially to Disasi. But the loose ball drops in the end on the halfway line to Longstaff, who's got a Gallagher trying to nibble in at the ankles there and eventually conceding the foul. Conor Gallagher on Sean Longstaff, as it looks like at the moment. Gordon's just come out to the right wing and Almiron's gone out to the left. So a switch of wings at the moment. It's Guimaraes towards the 18-yard box. Plays it backwards into the area to Botman. Out left to Byrne. Down the line to Almiron. Lets it run for Isak, whose touch goes out of play. Willock. Touch goes out of play. And it'll be a Chelsea throw and taken quickly and falls backwards to Disasi by Fernandes. Now on the edge of the box to Chalobah. Now in the left-back area to Cucurella. Now into the goalkeeper Petrovic. Isak will close down. Petrovic will clear towards the halfway line. Dealt with by Botman, who's been forced back to Dubravka as he was being closed down there by Jackson. And Newcastle can build from the back with Fabian Schär. Forward to Isak, just dropped in ever so slightly to receive the ball. Then lays it off to Guimaraes on the edge of the centre circle. It's now Botman. Into Guimaraes again. Likes to keep things ticking in that midfield, the Brazilian. Always available as an option. It's back with Botman. All Chelsea players currently behind the ball. With Schär back across here to Botman. Bit of space on the right-hand side for Gordon, and it's lifted to him. And he controls it, and then a high ball down the line for Livramento, who controls it well. Keeps it away from Chalobah for the moment. Livramento still going towards the corner flag. It's a goal kick. Last touch there off Livramento as he couldn't quite get beyond Chalobah. A goal kick for Chelsea as it remains 1-0 to the home team. Just one win in the last four against Newcastle for Chelsea, and that came in the League Cup quarter-final. Petrovic forward to Enzo Fernandez, who then gives it away on halfway to Gallagher. Cut out by Byrne. It's now Almiron in the left wing position, using his pace to try and get beyond Gusto. Sliding challenge in from the right back. And the last touch comes off the Paraguayan, and it's another goal kick for Chelsea. Good defending again there by Gusto this time. Had to get the slide tackle right, and did it perfectly to win the goal kick. The goal kick will be taken by Petrovic as Chelsea decide to go long, taking the time a little bit with the goal kick here. So it will be Petrovic to send it towards the Chelsea right-hand side here. And the ball launched forward towards Jackson, who will lose out to Botman. Heads it forward, volleyed by Chalobah. Down the centre of the pitch, dealt with by Livramento as far as Enzo Fernandez, who nods it out to the left here to Jackson. Now Cucurella, 5 yards ahead of the halfway line. Down it goes to Sterling. Then into Cucurella again, who's been forced back here to Chalobah. Across to Disasi. Almiron's coming to close him down. Goes back to Petrovic, who takes the touch. Forward to Fernandez and out to the right to Disasi. Very calm and very fluid out from the back here from Chelsea. As things do seem to be starting to click more. I see it. I've watched them a couple of times recently, and it does seem like the ideas are starting to gel. It's just doing that consistently as Cucurella's ball inside to Jackson, cut out by Cher. Gordon gets beyond Cucurella, using his body as well, and looking in behind for Isak. Petrovic comes early and clears out of his box. Brilliant from the goalkeeper. Headed back forward by Longstaff. Really well done there by Willock to beat Fernandez to it. Then Almiron out wide to the right here to Gordon. Forward to Isak, who's peeled out to the right wing position. Livramento's trying to get there forward, but he'll be a 1-2 with Gordon instead, and Isak tackled from the sliding challenge from Gallagher. And it'll be a throw-in right next to the corner flag on this near side for Newcastle, who will probably be scratching their heads thinking how they're 1-0 down here. They've definitely been the better side, but Chelsea have defended rather well. No real clear-cut chances for Newcastle so far, despite having quite a lot of the ball in the Chelsea half. Longstaff back to Cher, who's on this near side. Back heels it to Longstaff, just about keeps it away from Jackson. Livramento caught by Fernandez, and that'll be a free kick for for Newcastle, given away by the Chelsea number 8. Just in front of the halfway line. Fernandez pleading his innocence rather passionately. Came through the River Plate Academy. Enzo Fernandez before leaving for Benfica. Where he then jumped ship to Chelsea in January of last year. £106.8 million. Just crazy. Like I say, for the possession that Newcastle have had, they've only had one shot at goal and it wasn't even on target. So despite they've been probably looked the better side, it's been Chelsea who have been able to get the shots off and get themselves ahead. As Guimaraes will launch this one into the box. Out to the left-hand side. Free header for Botman. Across it goes, headed on by Almiron. Deflected to Gordon, who will let fly. And that's a big block from Cucurella, who has a small little celebration to himself as he got in the way of that. At the far post, I'm surprised Botman had that free header. It was helped forward by Almiron. Bit of a poor clearance by Chalobah as it came off his head. Straight to Gordon, who in the area decided to shoot as quickly as possible, but Cucurella was stood firm in the way. As it's going to be a right-footed outswinger here from the near side, with Anthony Gordon set to take. He's got 5 Premier League assists this season. Gordon, alongside his 9 goals, he goes to the edge of the area here to Willock. To his left to Guimaraes, 25 yards from goal. Finds Livramento. It's almost just halted the attack as they've had to go backwards. It's back forward to Guimaraes. Slots it through for Willock. Deflects out to the right to Gordon. He tries to flick it inside to Willock. Comes off Jackson. And it'll be a throw-in for Newcastle. Just didn't quite get that corner working the way they wanted it to there, Newcastle. It's Longstaff on the halfway line. Goes to the left here to Botman. Forward to Byrne, who will keep it in. Not got any real pressure on him. He goes backwards to Botman, midway side the Newcastle half. Across here to Cher. He will take his time on the ball. The Swiss centre half. Botman. Still inside his own half here. Goes out to the left to Byrne, who's played in all of England's top 5 divisions in his career. Dan Byrne, a real rise from top to the bottom, then back to the top again, as he was released from Newcastle at an early age, as Gordon's pulled down on the right-hand side. And that'll be a free kick for Newcastle. About midway side, the Chelsea half here on the near side. Just seems like Gordon is causing Cucurella a few more issues than what Almiron was. But as Gordon goes down here, he's not happy. Doesn't look like he's in loads of discomfort, but it's obviously something that's niggling him, and he's asked for the medical team to come onto the field here. He was a little bit innocuous, nothing really clear to shout for a big injury. Let's have a look. Cucurella went in, just a slight clip of the ankle, then he went down. I'm not quite sure what he's hurt there, like what's caused the real pain. I think it's in his left leg. He might have jarred his knee, maybe, on his landing. But it's definitely not a problem with his right knee, I believe. And they're going to try and bend it. And Gordon says, no, don't bend that knee. He was straight up there. Didn't like that at all. Anthony Gordon tried to bend the left knee inwards, and Gordon didn't allow him to go any further. That was where the pain was. And this is slightly worrying for Newcastle, who haven't got the greatest of depths on the bench at the moment, especially attacking-wise. They've got Jacob Murphy, who will probably come on, and a substitute will have to be made. They've signalled it. So Anthony Gordon, who is having the season of his life, with the Euros up and coming, it looks like he's going to be having to come off injured here at Stamford Bridge, the place he scored his first Newcastle goal. He celebrated his 23rd birthday last month, and on his 40th Newcastle start, in his 55th appearance for the club, he's having to be replaced by number 23, Jacob Murphy, who's coming on for his 140th Premier League appearance. And it will be a straight swap, as Gordon had just switched over to the right flank, and that's where Murphy will play. But clearly a worry for Newcastle as Gordon hobbles off and the injury woes continue for Newcastle. They've got Wilson out at the moment, Pope, now Gordon as well. Not a great moment at all for Newcastle, as they do have the free kick taken in by Murphy, and it's gone all the way through. It was very close for Dan Burn to get on the end of it at the far post, but couldn't quite reach it in the end. It's a quite delicious ball, that from Murphy, just away from the penalty spot, and just got a beyond Burn there. He was just slightly late with his run. It's in the 18-yard box. Chalobah back to Petrovic. Has to hurry a left-footed clearance. It's skied into the air here, and it's headed forward by Longstaff down the Newcastle right. Dealt with by Chalobah ahead of Murphy, but Longstaff wins it back strongly off Cucurella. It's now with Livramento twisting away from Sterling, facing his own goal and playing it through the legs of Gallagher to Botman on halfway. That was risky, but it worked for Livramento. It's now Burn at left back, just inside the Chelsea half. Goes into Botman. He's got time on the ball here, the Dutchman. And I mention this, I think, every time I commentate on Newcastle, but he still hasn't made his first Dutch appearance for his national team. Sven Botman was in the Netherlands squad for the November 20 squad and the June 23, but still yet to appear for his national side. As he sprays the ball out to the right, beautiful ball, controlled well as well by the thigh of Murphy in the final third, outside the area, crosses in, a lovely ball again, all the way through, beyond Willock, collected by Almiron, swings it through, and it deflects off. I believe the last touch came off Cucurella. Oh, and he's given a goal kick. To the frustration of Willock, he's given a goal kick. Really good ball across by Murphy. It was put in by Almiron on the opposite side, and I think it came off Willock. Then Cucurella. It should have been a corner. Let's have a look here. Cross goes in. Oh, you can't tell from there. They need to maybe slow it down a little bit more. I thought it was Cucurella with the last touch, but John Brooks, the referee, thinks differently. And it still remains here. Chelsea 1, Newcastle 0, with 7 minutes left of the first half here. Sterling's pass forward, comes off his standing leg and goes backwards. And goes straight back for Newcastle as they go into their own half here with Botman on the ball. Midway side their own half. He's got Gallagher stood in front of him. Not really pressing him, but just being a presence to put him off. And then it's given away. Looking for Willock. One back by Caicedo, but that's a shocking ball out wide right to Palmer. And it's now with Almiron, who goes into the 18-yard box here to Botman. Got Jackson on his heels. Goes to Burn at left back. Low ball forward. Cut out by Caicedo ahead of Willock, but wins it back, the English central midfielder. Strong battle in there with the Ecuadorian. And Newcastle work it out to the right-hand side here to Livramento, who skips, nearly skipped beyond Sterling, but was tripped by the number 7. And he'll be put in the book here, the number 7 for Chelsea, Raheem Sterling, who's only scored 1 in his last 11 in the Premier League that he's played in. And it looked like Livramento got beyond him, but just tripped him up and sent the Newcastle right back flying. Signed this summer from Chelsea, Tino Livramento, for £32 million. Just the age of 21, Livramento suffered an ACL injury in April 2022 at Brighton, his left knee, which left him out for the entirety of last season. He only returned for the last 2 games off the bench against Brighton and Liverpool for the relegated Southampton. But he's back playing again this season. This is his 30th appearance in all competitions for the campaign. It's from the free kick. Murphy will curl it into the area. It's to Isak who heads on. And over the crossbar. It would have been quite the header from Isak if that was to be in the back of the net. He headed it as he entered the 18-yard box. He just, I think, maybe just strayed offside, but that header was just past the 18-yard line. So to loop that over Petrovic in the back of the net would have been some header from the Swedish striker, but not meant to be for the former Real Sociedad forward, who joined from the Spanish club for £63 million. As Petrovic, the Chelsea goalkeeper, clears it out to the left-hand side, beyond the halfway line, looking for Sterling. Cut out by Livramento. Tried to be hooked forward there by Murphy, but it was stopped by Cucurella. It's a throw-in just inside the Newcastle half here on the near side, right in front of Eddie Howe, who's only won twice in his previous 10 against Pochettino. Lost 7 of his 10 against him. The biggest loss against Pochettino was when he was at Bournemouth on Boxing Day in 2018. It was a 5-0 defeat. I believe when Spurs were at Wembley, when they were playing their home games there. As Newcastle throw it back into their defensive third here to Share. Across the 18-yard box to Botman, quickly into the left back of Byrne, who goes forward to Almiron, and then back into Byrne in the Newcastle half. It's now Botman across to the goalkeeper of Dubravka. Time on the ball for the Slovakian. As he goes out to the right centre half here of Share, who's been forced to go backwards as Sterling was just letting him know he was there. Well, I definitely think it'll be a positive half for Newcastle. They've not done a lot wrong. It's just the chance creation has been pretty low for the away side, but they've kept the ball nicely at Stamford Bridge. A complete change from the last time these two sides met. What a ball that is, over the top down the right-hand side by Guimaraes to find Livramento just outside the box. He enters the area, lies it off to Isak, who's tackled by Enzo Fernandez, whose pass deflects off Guimaraes out to the right to Longstaff, so Newcastle can come again. Longstaff on the ball, just towards this near side. Goes out wide here to Murphy. Can't get beyond Gallagher, who in a left-back position, plays it into Cucurella. Then into Fernandez towards the corner flag. Back forward to Cucurella. It's now Gallagher again, avoiding the throw-in. Gallagher goes back here to Enzo Fernandez. He switches it across towards the Chelsea right. Just goes ahead of Gusto. Played inside by Byrne. Headed forward by Caicedo. Controlled by Gusto. Hooks it over his own head and straight to Willock, who tries to lift it in towards Longstaff. Headed away by Chalobah. Only as far as Guimaraes midway inside the Chelsea half. And he lifts it through for Isak on his left foot. Gets onto his right foot and curls it into the bottom right corner. It's a sensational strike from the Swedish number 14 for Newcastle. And that is what he does. That is what he brings. And on the whole balance of play, it's probably what Newcastle deserve. Alexander Isak, who hadn't scored in around 2 months before scoring in now back-to-back Premier League games, scored last week against Wolves and now scored at Chelsea. It was played to him on the left-hand side. It looked like he was going to take it onto his left foot, but with his speed that he has with his feet, just quickly shifted it onto his right foot and then opened up the body, curled it into the side netting beyond Petrovic, and it was too quick for Disasi. That's how quick he did it. Quick shift onto the right foot, used the body of Disasi to curl the ball around him into that bottom corner. And that is how you finish. And that is how you get Newcastle back on level terms. Isak with the goal. It's Chelsea 1. Newcastle 1. Just so quick. On that left side, obviously Disasi, I'm presuming, will know he's right-footed, but just didn't do anything about it. Didn't force him down onto his left. Isak knew he just had a bit of time. Even though he had time, he still had to do it quick. And the quick he was, just quick, onto the right foot. See you later. Curls it into the far corner. Brilliant from Isak, just on the edge of the box. It's just the speed he got it onto his right foot. That was just brilliant. Just quick chop into the space, curled it around, and that is how you score a goal. And that is why you pay £63 million for a striker like Isak. He's got everything. He's 6'4". He's got speed. He's got brilliant finishing. And like I say, is the way he used his feet there was as quick as you like. And Newcastle won a second here in the corner flag on the far side. It's Willock, surrounded by blue shirts, lifts it in towards Almiron, just goes beyond him and eventually cleared by Disasi, but not very convincing, only as far as the Newcastle throw-in the final third. Byrne with the throw-in. Finds Guimaraes. Got Sterling on his back here. Guimaraes goes back towards the corner flag, maybe. That's where he's facing, and he will eventually go into his own half here with a pass to Botman, who quickly goes across to his partner in crime of Fabian Schär. Longstaff on this near side. Goes inside to Murphy. Can't find Isak. Just a bit of a short pass dealt with by Chalobah. He then volleys away as Caicedo's ball deflected. Back towards the Chelsea goal. Then Palmer over the top for Jackson. The flag will stay down. Jackson's in behind here. In the area. On his left foot. Jackson shoots and scores. And the flag goes up. Jackson looking for a second. It would have been a fortunate second because Chelsea got their backs against the ropes here. But the flag went up on the far side. He may have just gone early here. Let's have a look. Chalobah cleared it forward. Brought down by Palmer. Yeah, and he's just gone early. Very early. A yard or two offside there, Jackson, who got the ball, took a touch into the area. Botman slipped. Jackson had a free shot on the left side of the box and shot across goal. Beat Dubravka, but couldn't beat the offside trap. And it remains 1-1. Just needs to time. He's run slightly better there, Jackson. He's looking for his 10th Premier League goal of the season now, after scoring his 9th in the 6th minute of this game. Longstaff forward to Willock. Touch is very heavy and across to the Chelsea left here to Gallagher, who will stride forward with the ball and then tackled on the edge of the area by Willock, who gave the ball away. Good recovery from the former Arsenal midfielder. And it's now with Newcastle in their own half with the right back Livramento into the 18-yard box to Schär. It goes across to Botman, who has to clear away quickly with his right foot. Works out perfectly in the end here for Almiron, who's got Byrne ahead of him, and he finds Dan Byrne here. He's got Gusto for company, and he kicks it off the French fullback. And it'll be a throw for Newcastle again in the Chelsea half. Thrown into Isak, who's drifted out to the left-hand side. And we've got 4 minutes of added on time here. We've played 90 seconds of it, so 2.5 minutes left to play here. Ball forward there towards Longstaff. Deflects off Disasi. Towards Byrne. Deflects off Disasi. And it's a throw for Newcastle. Again on that far side with Byrne to take it. Just towards the final third as Newcastle continue to pile on the pressure here on the Chelsea defence. Byrne throws it to Isak. Looking for Guimaraes. Dealt with by Caicedo. Fernandes forward to Jackson. Loses out to Schär. Guimaraes tackled by Jackson, who recovers well. It's now into the centre of the park here to Fernandes. Back into the left-back area to Cucurella. Edge of the area is Chalobah. Isak's coming across to close him down. He's been forced to go to the goalkeeper, Petrovic, who clips it forward. Down the Chelsea right, looking for Gusto. Headed forward by Byrne instead. It's now on the halfway line here with Botman. Into Guimaraes in the centre circle. Switching it to the right. Controlled by Livramento. Tackled by Gallagher. And that is a throw-in for Newcastle. It's Fabian Schär with it. Newcastle's number 5. Signed a contract extension in January as he plays the ball over the top. What a touch that is from Willock, who tries to finish. And I think he's offside. Fabian Schär, who has been a constant in the Newcastle team this year, plays a ball and Willock's onside. Gusto played him on. He controlled it beautifully with his chest into his path, and then 8 yards out, he's gone to strike it, but he kicked it over the crossbar. No offside was given. Willock's just not been able to work it on target, but I think Disasi's done well to just put him off slightly. But it's a great ball from Schär from the halfway line into the area, and it's a good touch from Willock as well, who has scored recently against his former side, scoring against Arsenal on the 24th of February. This is only his 3rd start of the season in the league, as he has been injured quite a lot this year. He's had a hamstring problem from May to October, and then was out with his Achilles from November to February. But it looks like he's back now, and it's a Gusto 1-2 with Palmer. Gusto charging away down the right-hand side into the final third, beating Almiron into the area. Gusto squares it, deflects off Botman, out to Palmer on the corner flag, who's turning away from Byrne. Palmer still has it as we're coming towards the end of the first half here. We've played the 4 minutes added on. Palmer through for Gusto. Just outside the area, towards the byline. Works across in. It's a lifty one to the far post. Nodded down by Gallagher. Sterling touches it and strikes it. And it's straight at Dubravka. And that's a big chance at the end of the half for Chelsea, as they looked to regain the lead in a half where Newcastle have dominated and looked the better side. Chelsea had the lead for the majority of the half from the 6th minute till around the 42nd, when Isak scored his goal. And we'll probably get the whistle. And we'll get it now, and we will. Dubravka doesn't even have time to kick it out of his hands. And the half-time whistle is here at Stamford Bridge. It's been a well-fought and evenly contested first half in terms of chances and shots on goal. But in terms of the possession, it's been all Newcastle, really. They have almost made this game look like they're at St James's Park. They've had the majority of the possession, and a lot of it has been in the Chelsea half. And they did dominate the first 5 minutes, but they were sprung with a surprise as Chelsea gave themselves a lead in the 6th minute. Palmer on the edge of the box, shot towards the bottom left corner. It was going wide, but as it went through some bodies, it was flicked on target by Jackson. It was a really clever and smart finish, and it gave Chelsea an undeserved lead because they were under real pressure right at the beginning, but that almost just settled a little bit of nerves. But that didn't stop Newcastle from keeping the ball and having the possession this time around at Stamford Bridge. And in the 43rd minute, 2 minutes before the 45th, Alexander Isak got Newcastle back level, and it's what they deserve for sure. He was played through on the left-hand side, just on the edge of the box, quickly got it onto his stronger right foot and wrapped it into the bottom right corner, curling it around the body of Disasi and beyond Petrovic in the Chelsea goal. And here at half-time at Stamford Bridge, it is Chelsea 1, Newcastle 1. Good half from Newcastle. It's probably the best I've seen them play for a while. You know, I don't watch them every week. I know they played well on Saturday when they beat Wolves, but I haven't watched them plenty. The last time I did watch them was away at Arsenal, and I know that's a different opposition, and Arsenal are a better side, but they weren't great. They just weren't Newcastle, what we usually see from them. But tonight it's been more of that, bit more possession, which we like to see them have. And the pressing was really good as well, which we know they're known for. Eddie Howe teams are always quite good at pressing up high. And you know, the goal was quite unlucky to concede. You know, just sometimes you've just got to applaud a bit of skill, which Jackson pulled off. But then for the majority of the first half, they were dominant on the ball. It was just the chances they were lacking. They didn't create really many dangerous opportunities. The only shot on target Newcastle had was the Isak goal, and it was a brilliant goal. It looks like he was going to enter the box on the left-hand side, maybe try and get a shot off with his weaker left foot, but instead on the edge of the area, chopped onto his right foot, quickly got the shot off and buried it into the bottom right corner. And Chelsea definitely just need to be careful here. I think the only positive for Chelsea is the fact they're at home. I think if they were at St James's Park with the home atmosphere of Newcastle, they might be struggling like they did in the away game this season. They lost 4-1 to Newcastle at St James's Park, Chelsea. But at the moment, they've got their home fans trying to keep them in this game. Couldn't quite keep the lead till half-time. Isak with a brilliant finish, scoring his second goal against Chelsea. His first against them was in that 4-1 win earlier in the season. He put Newcastle 1-0 up in that one, scoring in the 13th minute. And Sterling equalised in the 23rd, then three second half goals from Lascelles and Joe Linton within a minute of each other, then Gordon near the end gave them the 3 points. But the only negative really for Newcastle, and it's a huge negative, is that Anthony Gordon came off injured during that first half. He came off in the 36th minute. It looked, I said it at the time, it looked a little bit innocuous, just didn't seem to be an obvious injury in the tackle. He just went together with Cucurella. It was nothing dangerous from the Spanish full-back. I think he caught him a little bit and sent him to the floor, and it was a free kick given, nothing more. But obviously it's done a little bit more damage than what was expected on Gordon, and it looks like it was a left leg issue. His left knee, it looked like maybe. The physio for Newcastle tried to bend his knee in, and Gordon said, "Don't do that again, because that hurt." And then next thing you know, he was off for Murphy. But Murphy came on and made an instant impact. He put two really good crosses in at the end of that at the end of that first half. Jacob Murphy, who is an okay player, probably one of those players who Newcastle will look to move on in the next couple of years if they really want to reach the top of the Premier League table. Obviously, this is a project for Newcastle. They were a bit ahead of the project last season, finishing in 4th position. But this season. They've kind of been brought back down to reality a little bit. Currently in 10th at the start of tonight, but a draw would put them up to 9th, and a win would take them up to 7th on goal difference on the same points as West Ham. So it's all to play for, and if Chelsea draw, they will be 6 points off the European spots. There is still a lot of football to play, but when Chelsea are in 11th, they've got Wolves ahead of them who are doing well at the moment, Newcastle ahead of them who are actually doing quite well at the moment. Newcastle just 1 loss in their last 8 in all competitions, and that was to Arsenal away from home. Brighton, who are off it, but they're seeming to keep themselves around the top 8 positions, and then West Ham as well, who are seeming to pick up a few more positive results recently. It was a bit of a drop off with that draw against Burnley at home, but they had won their previous 2 before that. One of them away at Everton, which was quite a good win, and then the other one was at home to Brentford, sorry. But it's a 1-1 draw at the moment, and I think Chelsea will be glad. I think they'll take it, in all honesty, because they got a goal against the run of play, really. Like I say, it was a dominant start from Newcastle, but that is skill. Like I say, Palmer dragging his shot wide, but for Jackson to redirect it into the bottom corner with that little flick from behind is really clever. And for Newcastle, their goal came from Chelsea just not being able to clear it at all. Caicedo headed it to Gusto, who then flicked it back towards his own goal. Couldn't keep it away from Willock, whose first pass was headed away by Chalobah, but straight to Guimaraes, who then eventually played it through for Isak, who on the left side of the box worked it onto his right foot and, like I say, buried it into the bottom right corner. Chelsea just need to get rid of it better than that. It's just poor. It's messy. It's the word I'd use. It just looks really messy the way they were trying to clear it. And they were punished. Really good assist as well there from Bruno Guimaraes, who we know from that deeper role he plays in the midfield, he can still provide brilliant passes just like that. And Newcastle are currently level. But it was weird because when these two sides met in that League Cup quarter-final at Stamford Bridge in late December, it was really it was Chelsea who had the ball. It was strange. It was Chelsea who dominated the possession and Newcastle sat back. But today it's the absolute opposite. It's Chelsea who are having to sit back, if that's by choice or just through the Newcastle pressure and the way they're playing. But at the moment it is Newcastle who are heavily dominating the ball, and I think they definitely deserve that equaliser right before the break. But the second half will be getting back underway in a couple of minutes' time. Like I say, four more commentaries coming this week. I don't think I've ever done 5 in a week before, but it's going to be fun. I'm excited. This is the first of 5. The next one is tomorrow, 8 o'clock UK time. Arsenal take on Porto in the Champions League second leg of that last 16 tie. Then on the Thursday, we're finishing up the Europa League last 16 tie between Rangers and Benfica. That is finally poised. That's at 2-2 at the moment to take to Ibrox. That'll be a rocking atmosphere, and that should be a really good game and occasion. And then we've got 2 on Sunday where Brighton women take on Manchester City women, who have fell on a slight blip. The City women losing in the League Cup semi-final to Chelsea, and then losing at the weekend to Tottenham away from home in the FA Cup quarter-final. So they'll be looking to turn things back around and focus on the league, where they are well into the title race for Chelsea. And then the second game on the Sunday will be Atletico Madrid taking on Barcelona at 8 o'clock UK time. So 4 more coming up. They're scheduled on the channel as well, so you can go and check them out. Turn the notification bell on so you know exactly when those commentaries go live. Wonder if any change will be made at half-time for Chelsea. I don't know if Pochettino will be liking the way that the game's going at the moment. Having to do a lot of defending. And at times, it just seems very panicky, the defending. in fairness, every now and then, it's when they're in the possession at the back, they are working it nicely, beating the Newcastle press. But when Newcastle are coming at them and they're trying to clear the ball, sometimes for Chelsea, it just seems like a really impossible task just to get the ball gone. But the second half will be getting underway in a couple of minutes' time at Stamford Bridge. But for Chelsea, like I say, they've got Leicester at the weekend in the FA Cup, and then they've got 2 more home games in a row, one easier one on paper after the international break against Burnley, and then they welcome Manchester United on the 4th of April. But yeah, international break coming up at the end of this week after the FA Cup games and the Premier League games. It's then international break, which seems like it's been forever since the last one, and every time an international break comes around, it just compiles of just misery, doesn't it? They're absolutely rubbish, the international breaks. I understand they have to happen at times, especially into the run up of Euros, but still, it's just garbage half the time. But what can you do? But in fairness, once the international break is done, that's the last one of the season. And then we've got a cracking Premier League title race. We've got a really good Championship automatic promotion race and the title race and a relegation battle in that league. And then we've got the Euros in the summer as well. Like, you just can't ask for any more at all. So it is exciting once this international break is swept under the carpet and completed. But yeah, every time you see an international break, it's just a sigh, isn't it? It's just a here we go again. But yeah, it'd be interesting with the Euros. Obviously, Southgate at Stamford Bridge tonight. Just want to know what his next England team will be, because everyone points the fingers at it, but rightly so. Calvin Phillips, Southgate likes him in his system, but he's gone out on loan. He wasn't playing at Manchester City. He's gone on loan to West Ham, and he's had an absolute stinker of a loan spell. Jordan Henderson, spent the first half of the season trying to rake it in Saudi, then he's gone to Ajax to try and make up his reputation a little bit, try to get back in the England team. Surely he doesn't have the quality anymore to start getting in the England squads. So I'm intrigued a lot to see what Southgate's squad will be for the international break. Can Newcastle continue their positive first half? Sometimes a half-time break can come at the wrong time for certain teams, and hopefully for Newcastle's sake, they can come out performing the same way than they were in the first half, because it was a very solid away performance. And those travelling fans who have made the 10-hour round trip on the roads, or if they've tried to maybe use the buses, which is always a little bit risky in England to trust the bus systems, but it's a long journey nonetheless, that's for sure, for these Newcastle supporters who always travel in numbers wherever they're made to go. Another exciting game coming up is that Arsenal-Porto one tomorrow, because we obviously know that Arsenal, for the majority of the recent games, have been smashing the goals, and they struggled a little bit on Saturday against Brentford, but they were able to just break through at the end to win 2-1. But that won't be an easy Porto defence to break through. Obviously, Pepe at the heart of it. 41 years of age, Pepe, still playing, still going, which is just blows my mind how he's still playing at that age. But if you keep yourself fit and you've still got the drive to play, then it shows that you can still make it at the very highest of levels in Europe. But both sides now back. There's Chelsea coming out of the tunnel. Don't think there's been any half-time changes. Newcastle have already made one change in the first half. Anthony Gordon came off for Jacob Murphy due to injury, which is another blow for Eddie Howe. And he's in conversation at the moment with his assistant, Jason Tindall, who's a little bit of an internet meme, isn't he, Jason Tindall? Quite a character, to say the least. He's always my go-to assistant on Football Manager, because it's just funny, but never mind my Football Manager saves. And we're back underway here. Newcastle kicking right to left towards their away support, and Chelsea left to right, as it's all level at 1-1 here. Newcastle give it away down their right-hand side, picked up by Cucurella on halfway, forward to Sterling, back to goal, lays it off to his left towards Jackson, dealt with by Cher. Livramento needs to clear it, lifts it down the line, dealt with by Chalobah, into Fernandes, back into Chalobah in the Chelsea half, and it's the home team back on the ball with their goalkeeper Petrovic, who quickly clears away, headed forward by Livramento, and then put into the sky by Jacob Murphy. Chalobah heads out of play, throwing for Newcastle just inside the Chelsea half on that far side. So no changes at the moment for Chelsea. You've got a couple of players they could bring off the bench. They've got Chukwuemeka, who's been in and out with injury this season. Mudryk, Madueke as well. Newcastle lose possessions with Chelsea midway side their own half, with Chalobah just about works it back in time to Petrovic as Isak was closing down. Petrovic forward to Chalobah again, to his right to Caicedo, back to Petrovic, who clears it forward quickly beyond the halfway line, headed away though by Botman, controlled by Enzo Fernandez. Out to the right here to Chelsea, their most dangerous flank for sure. It's where they've caused Newcastle the most issues. Palmer with it, has to go to the halfway line here to Moises Caicedo. It's down in the centre circle with Fernandez. Gets away from Longstaff and plays it out to the far side here to Gallagher. He's been a little bit non-existent in the game. Conor Gallagher. Chalobah's ball. Can't find Caicedo. Newcastle want to make the most of this opportunity that's been gifted to them. Isak into Almiron. Enters the box on his left foot. Strikes it towards goal. And it has to be parried over the crossbar by Petrovic. Sloppy giveaway of possession there by Chelsea. It all got a little bit messy on the halfway line, and eventually Almiron was set away on the left side of the box. Tight angle, he slammed it towards goal, but he was straight at Petrovic, but he was hit with power, so the Serbian goalkeeper's done well just to force that one over the crossbar. But it's an early set piece for Newcastle here in the second half. Burney's up there, the tallest of them all, about 6'7", but he goes short. Murphy goes short to Guimaraes, who on the angle on his right foot will cross it all the way through, and oh my word, how's no one got to the end of that? That is one of the best crosses you will see all weekend. Maybe take away De Bruyne's corner last night against Liverpool. He gets it from the short corner, just brings it forward, but stays on that angle on his right foot just to whip it to the far post. So no one's committed enough. That is a beautiful ball by Guimaraes, who's already got one assist tonight for the Isak goal. And he should have had a second. That is a delightful ball in. And Chelsea are fortunate to get away with that. As the goal kick goes out towards Gallagher on the left, can't keep it in. Thrown for Newcastle on the far side. Should have at least, someone should have got onto that. And with the distance from ball to goal, they probably would have scored. They would have been a couple of yards out. It's exactly what Bruno Guimaraes can bring to the Newcastle side as Livramento gives it away into the midfield. Picked up by Sterling on halfway. Forward here to Jackson, who's looking out towards the Chelsea far near side here. But he's tripped by Longstaff. Free kick given to Chelsea. And Jackson stays down just as he tried to release it. He's just caught by Longstaff. Oh yeah, just a studs on the Achilles there. Bit of a sore one for Nicholas Jackson, who's already got a goal tonight. There's Jackson and Willock just exchanging a few words there. Not sure if they're getting lost in translation. Don't think Willock can probably communicate with Caicedo, who has come through at Spain. Left his home country of Senegal for Spain and Villarreal in September 2019. So just under 5 minutes into this first half, it's Gallagher to take it. It's very central, this free kick. So they work it out to the right here to Gusto, about midway side the Newcastle half. Plays it out to the right wing here to Disasi. Don't know why he's all the way over here. He's going to try to take on Byrne. He's been tackled by Armoron. And that is going to be a throw in here for Chelsea. Not quite sure why they've deployed Disasi to get the ball there in the right wing position. Not really got the build for a winger. As he receives the ball here on the near side. Forward for Palmer. Into Gallagher. Chested touch gets away from him. Out of play for a Newcastle throw-in on this near side to be taken by their number 33 of Dan Byrne. Throws into Guimaraes. Loads of time on the ball. Livramento wants to switch and he'll find him. Beautiful ball. Controlled well. Into his feet and into his path. Livramento just before the halfway line. Looking for options. He's been forced to go backwards here to Share. And then back forward to Guimaraes. Can look forward himself and find a brilliant ball into Longstaff. Now into Livramento. Forward to Murphy. Works it back into Livramento, who's in the final third. Running at Cucurella. Livramento. He's got the runner Longstaff ahead of him, but he can't find him or Isak in the box. And it goes straight through into the gloves there of Petrovic. It's almost like Livramento didn't make his mind up there with the pass. Didn't know if to go to Isak or Longstaff, and it kind of went in between them both and through to the goalkeeper. As Disasi clips forward to the halfway line. Flicked on by Jackson towards Sterling. Nowhere near the Chelsea number 7 in the end. Dealt with calmly and comfortably by Fabian Schär in the Newcastle half. Around the corner by Guimaraes and completes a 1-2 with Byrne, or he tried to anyway, but Fernandes took it off his toes. And it's now a 1-2 between Jackson and Caicedo. And Palmer's been set away in the final third on the right-hand side. Onto the left foot, into the box, chops back onto his right, pulls it across, and it's gone all the way through. Gallagher was the one at the far post who wanted to divert it home. But I think the cross should have had a slight bit too much pace to it. Absolutely sold Dan Byrne there. And Longstaff. Didn't know which way Palmer was going to go because obviously primarily he's left-footed, but he went on his right there and nearly supplied his second assist of the night as well. As Guimaraes also came close a couple of minutes ago, as it's Isak to be set away on the right-hand side here. Caicedo's come across to cover. Isak's looking to the Newcastle left. Tries to go to Willock, but it's such a short ball. Didn't quite get the contact on the pass. Gusto brings it away. Beyond the halfway line, Jackson's making a run down the line. They find him just in the corner of the box on the right-hand side. Jackson has it with a bit of time and space. Lays it off for Cole Palmer, who gets onto his right foot. Plays it forward, but it's cut out by Almiron. That would have been a big chance as Gusto was away. It's now Almiron to his right here to Jacob Murphy. Shifts it beyond Cucurella. Isak in a right wing position, tackled by the Spanish left-back. And it's a throw-in for Newcastle. Bit of quick pace to the game there. End-to-end stuff here at Stamford Bridge. It's Newcastle on the ball in their own half with their number 4 of Sven Botman, who did win the French League title in the 2020-2021 season with Lille, stopping that run of PSG titles, stopping Pochettino from winning that season. There's Almiron, just can't quite keep the ball in play there. Just a simple pass, but touch just got away from him. Throwing for Chelsea, taken quickly in their defensive third now here for Disasi. Goes into the 6-yard box for Petrovic, who's going to be closed down by Isak. Lifts it out to the left here to Cucurella, who heads it forward, but straight to a Newcastle shirt, who heads it forward towards Isak on the edge of the area, dealt with by Caicedo. Cleared forward high, headed up into the air by Schär, headed forward by Guimaraes in the centre circle, but played back forward by Chalobah, chested down by Schär, ahead of Sterling. It's now Guimaraes again in the centre circle. He's got Almiron out to the left, and he'll find the Paraguayan. His touch is better that time. Almiron into the area, around the outside of Gusto, goes for the low cross, dealt with by Disasi at the front post. And Gusto will bring it forward, still inside his own half here. He's got Palmer to his right, and he plays it to him. Sterling's making a run forward, finds him. Raheem Sterling running one-on-one with Botman. Sterling in the area, on his right foot, strikes it towards goal, and it's always going wide. Couldn't get his foot around the ball enough there, Sterling, to work it on target at the near post. But it's quick attacking from both sides here. Once one team win the ball back, they're trying to go up the other end as quickly as possible. Goal kick for Newcastle, kept in just about by Dubravka, deflects off Gusto to Guimaraes. just towards this near side, goes back into his own half here to Botman. Forward to Guimaraes, out to Byrne at left back. Forward here for Willock. And then into the space for Almiron, just slightly overhit. Just a little bit less pace on that, and Almiron could have been away down the left flank for Newcastle, but not meant to be that time, as it's been a more even game, I'd say, second half, as it was Newcastle with the majority of the possession in the first. Augusto right back to Desarce, who clips the ball forward here towards Jackson, keeps the ball away from Botman, and he's brought down by the Dutch centre-back. Free kick for Chelsea. Midway side their own half, it's Caicedo out to the left to his former Brighton teammate, Cucurella. Obviously now teammates once again here at Chelsea. It's Gallagher's ball forward and halfway, cut out by Botman as he was trying to aim for Jackson, but Almiron goes behind Livramento. Bad ball from the Paraguayan. Sterling brings it away down the left-hand side, inside to Gallagher, 25 yards from goal, goes across to the right here to Gusto. Attack slows down slightly as Willock gets back to put Gusto under some pressure, but Gusto works it into the area for Gallagher. What a ball that is. Gallagher chops back, just about keeps it away from Willock. It's now Palmer. Central, working his way out to the left-hand side, then turning, going out to the right with Caicedo to Gallagher in the right wing position, puts a good ball in. Header won by Botman, straight to Palmer, whose first pass can't go through to Guimaraes, and he'll bring it away now, the Brazilian, into a bit of traffic maybe, surrounded by blue shirts, and he loses it. Now Gusto bringing it forward, away from two Newcastle players in the area, pulls it across, and again Botman's there to clear. Straight to a Chelsea shirt, so the home side will come again. It's to Palmer. Just more towards the right-hand side here at the minute, the number 20 for Chelsea. Goes out towards the left here to Enzo Fernandez. Furthest left's Cucurella, but he goes into the central area here to Caicedo. It's now to the right to Gallagher. It's now Gusto in the final third. Palmer lurking around the edge of the box as it's worked here to Gallagher. Brings it forward. Lays it off for Fernandez. Now Caicedo. Back out to Gusto, who's got time to cross it here if he'd like to. And he does, and it deflects, and it's had to be dealt with by Botman again. It'll be kept in here for Byrne to deal with, and he absolutely slices that one. Thrown in the final third for Chelsea on the near side. Maybe a bit of nerves there from Byrne, as Newcastle are under a bit of pressure at the moment. Fernandez, forward to Palmer, edge of the area, strikes it! And that is a thunderous shot from Palmer, and that one will be his. Straight into that bottom right corner. And this boy has just got so much talent. And he has got this Chelsea team on his back as he scores goal number 13 for Chelsea. It's his 11th of the season in the Premier League. He'd only got one in his last 5. But he's back on the score sheet once again. And this half has been a bit more to Chelsea's taste. More even, more end-to-end. More spaces for them to exploit. And I was just mentioning before how Palmer was just lurking around the edge of the box to the Chelsea right-hand side. And they found him in that pocket of space in between 5 Newcastle players. He's been able to take a touch onto his left foot, shoot it across to the near post, wrapping the shot with that left foot. Looked like he was going to maybe go towards the far corner, but instead pulled it to the near post, deceiving Dubravka, who dived towards it, but realistically got nowhere near it. Palmer scores. It's a goal and an assist for him tonight. And it's Chelsea 2, Newcastle 1. Palmer with the goal as Isak tries to be fed through in the box. Not dealt with very well by Chalobah. Longstaff, his pass deflects to Enzo Fernandez, who in a left-back position can try and deal with it. Gets beyond Murphy and clears it forward for Chelsea up towards Jackson, who flicks on for Sterling. And he's in behind. Cher's chasing him. Sterling's in to make it 3. Sterling hesitates, goes around the goalkeeper and shoots. It's blocked off the line. And that's a big wasted chance for Sterling as Chelsea tried to make it 3. It's vintage Sterling that. We know he can be like that when he's through on goal. But a little bit too hesitant. Takes his time too much. Brilliant flick on though from Jackson. Sterling was away. Got in front of him quite well as it almost trailed behind him. Went through one-on-one with the goalie. Went around him, shot up the penalty spot, and it was blocked off the line. As it's now Newcastle's turn to attack with Willock. Tackled on the left-hand side by Caicedo, who avoids the corner for now. Still there towards the corner flag here. Caicedo working it on as far as Willock. It's now with Guimaraes across the box here to Isak, 22 yards out, curls it to the top right corner. And over the bar and wide it goes. And it's been a very lively second half, much better. Both teams well involved with chances at both ends. But for Sterling, he's got to really score that. He's got an unbelievable goal-scoring record against Newcastle, as that was blocked off the line by Burn. Sterling has scored 10 in 21 games against Newcastle, averaging almost a goal every 2 games against them. He's got 6 in his last 8 against them in the Premier League. Scored in the reverse fixture at St James's Park to make it 1-1. And we're half an hour to play. I'm just glad that Chelsea have got involved. I mean, like I said, I don't support any of these teams. This game really couldn't have any less meaning to me with my team in this division. But it was just nice to see, because so many games these days that you watch, that I watch anyway, a lot of the time it's just one team sits back and the other one keeps the ball, knocking it around, looking for that defence splitting pass, and that one pass that will look amazing, and sometimes just too intricate. It's better when it's just end-to-end. Teams taking risks and just trying to score goals. That's what football's about. And the second half's been a lot more of that. Chelsea have come out of their shell a lot more, and they're away here on the right-hand side into the space for Gusto. A bit too close to Dan Burn there, who will get there ahead of Gusto and be tripped by the full-back. Free kick for Newcastle in their 18-yard box. And Newcastle definitely deserve their equaliser in the first half, but I don't think they can complain too much that Chelsea have gone ahead again. Been much better from the home side. And it has to be Cole Palmer, who scores his first ever goal against Newcastle after assisting the first one, even though I think it was a shot that he meant to take, but it was flicked home by Jackson. Oh, hey, Zach, yep. See you there in the chat. I hope training was okay. Bit of extra session again. As it's Newcastle on the ball, just in their 18-yard box. Dubravka, loads of time on the ball. Chelsea are pressing high, but they're not pressing the man on the ball at the moment. It's on the far side here with Cher. Back into Dubravka. Jackson's now triggering the press, forcing Dubravka long out to the right-hand side. Header won by Cucurella on Livramento. Straight to Cher, who can only volley out for a throw-in for Chelsea. And the tables have definitely turned in this one. Chelsea seem a lot more settled. And just by the way, that Newcastle goal from Isak is Eddie Howe's 400th Premier League goal as a manager. So, nice little landmark for him to hit. He hit his 100th Premier League win as a manager in their last game against Wolves. There's Chelsea clear along with Petrovic, the goalkeeper. Botman unopposed and can control it and go to his centre-back partner of Cher, midway side his own half. Goes for a switch out to the left. It's a searching ball. Can't quite find Almiron. Cut out by the head of Gusto. Kept in by Almiron. He goes back to Burn in his own half. He will find Botman, who's been closed down by Palmer. Works it back out to the near side here to Burn. Cher. It's now Botman on the edge of the area. He'll bring it forward ever so slightly. He's got Cher to his right, who looks like the obvious option, as the options ahead of him are currently a little bit out of the game. Goes long out to the left. Now Almiron will beat Gusto to it. Towards the corner flag now, Almiron. Back heels it off the Frenchman, and he clears it for a throw-in. From what looked like it could have been a bit of a dangerous play there for Newcastle in their own half. There wasn't many options on for Botman. He's decided to go long and down the left-hand side, and it has worked there, mainly due to the work rate of Almiron to get there at a Gusto, force it down the line and winning the throw-in. As Burn has the throw, goes towards the byline here to Isak, the Newcastle goal scorer. Lays it back off to Burn here, kicks it off Palmer, and then Gusto kicks it off Burn. And it'll be a goal kick for Chelsea. Bit of a waste there for Newcastle, who had a throw-in high up the pitch with Burn. As Newcastle's next 2 Premier League games are at home. They have City away in the FA Cup on Saturday, but they've got West Ham and Everton at home on the 30th of March and the 2nd of April. As Petrovic goes along, again headed on by Jackson, but this time dealt with by Botman. Forward to Willock on halfway, dispossessed by Caicedo. Out to the far side here to Cucurella. Forward to absolutely nobody in a blue shirt. No one had made the run down the left flank for Chelsea. It's back with Newcastle with just over 25 minutes to play. Dubravka on it in the 18-yard box. He's got time on the ball once again. 35 years of age now, Dubravka. Been at the club since 2018, where he initially joined on loan and then joined permanently in the summer of 18. So on the far side with Newcastle, Murphy into the midfield to Guimaraes. Back out wide here to Longstaff. He's got the run forward of Livramento and he finds him. Livramento in the final third. Chance for a cross here. Enzo Fernandez comes across. His cross still goes in though. And it's towards Isak, dealt with by Caicedo, who got in front of the Swedish striker. And Chelsea eventually clear it up the field. But again, Jackson can't win the header. Forward by Burns to Disasi, who nods it out to the right here to Gusto, who can take his time. Goes back to Disasi in the 18-yard box. Being closed down by Almiron. It's now Petrovic who has to clear first time. Up it goes, down the Chelsea right. And it's beyond Burn and Jackson. Through for Botman. And it's Newcastle who are now on the ball once again. Switch out to the right. That is an audacious ball, that is. Over the head of Murphy. We know he can pick a pass, Guimaraes, who holds his hand up in apologies, but that had been some pass from the Brazilian. I tripped on a massive Astro burn. Oh, that's good. The fun's good, not the first part. I'm glad you had fun. Shame I couldn't make it, but already had this commentary planned, so I had to unfortunately give it a miss. But 24 minutes left to play. 2-1. Enjoyed this game so far. There's Isak midway side the Chelsea half. He's been pulled back there by Caicedo. Just seemed a bit unnecessary from the Chelsea midfield. They're not quite sure why he's done that. I know you want to stay close to Isak, but like I say, the free kick's just to the right-hand side. It's about 30 yards out, like I say, on quite a wide angle, so Isak couldn't have really done anything. I don't get why he's... Anyway, he's given the foul, the referee, rightly so. Caicedo pulling Isak, who just come in a bit deeper for the ball, like I say. Strikers don't always just hover up the top of the pitch. They like to get involved and, you know, string the play together, as you could say. So it's going to be a ball in here from Murphy's right foot. Lifted into the box towards Burn, who gets up the highest and heads wide from 6 yards out. Oh, and he's on the ground in pain. Maybe a landing there for Burn. Like I say, it's not hard for him to win headers, Dan Burn, because he's 6'7". He's absolutely gigantic. Got up ahead of Disasi. Made him look small, Disasi, who's rather tall himself at 6'3". But Burn is down, and he looks in real pain here. The captain for Newcastle. I want to say it's landing, unless he maybe just got a slight nick on his head. They've already lost Gordon through injury tonight. I don't want to lose Burn. They're already out. They're already out without Pope. Burn is going to be okay to continue. Thumbs up there from the physio. But Newcastle are going to make changes anyway. I don't know if Burn is one of them, but they are going to be making some changes to try and spin the game back in their favour. Burn will be one of them. Even if he was okay to continue, he was going to be the one to come off anyway. As Burn is going to be giving the captain's armband away. Presuming to Longstaff, who was captain from the start for Newcastle in his 150th game for them early on in the season away at United in the League Cup. So Dan Burn off here for Emil Kraft, who's usually a right back. So I'm presuming Livramento will go left back and Emil Kraft will go right back, making his 10th appearance of the season. Kraft, he's not played many games. He's very much a backup option for Newcastle, and Almiron will be the second change here. So both wingers who started the game for Newcastle are now off. Almiron replaced by number 32, Elliot Anderson, who has been out with injury this season himself, out with a back injury from late October, but he's returned for the last 2 games against Blackburn in the FA Cup and Wolves in the league. But Elliot Anderson doesn't really score goals at all. He's come through the Newcastle Academy, the number 32, joined at the age of 8, but he's played 43 times for them previously, Newcastle, the first team, and he's never scored yet, and he's meant to be an attacking midfielder, so needs to start adding goals to his game, and that'll be a great chance to do it now while Newcastle are behind, and we're back underway here, 20 minutes to play, and it's just a goal in it. Your commentaries also I'm sure they are. I'm sure you really digesting everything I say, and I'm sure you're really enjoying it. I read before, and I've just read, it's just come up here as well. Chelsea apparently are going to try and do a bit of a clear out in the summer, which seems obvious, but they're going to take money losses, which isn't great for Todd Bowley, their owner. But it looks like they're going to try and get rid of around 15 players, which is probably right, because the signings they've made have just not been very good, have they? You know, the odd one's been pretty decent. Like I say, right back Gusto's been good. He was brought in January, but stayed out on loan at Lyon for the rest of the season. But he's come in this year. He's been brilliant. And one of the bigger flops of their signings, Mikhailo Mudryk, is on. So he's replaced Sterling, who could have had a goal himself in the second half, but it was blocked off the line by Burners. Newcastle go over the top towards Murphy. On the byline, he can not keep it in. Goal kick. I mean, in fairness, the assistant referee on that far side guessing. You can't know if that's gone out because the assistant referee was nowhere near it, but he's flagged it out for a goal kick. So Mudryk's on, who scored the equaliser between these two in the League Cup quarter-final when these two sides met earlier on in the season. Chelsea went on to win on penalties. As Petrovic is booked, the goalkeeper, for time wasting. Taking too long on the goal kick here, the Serbian. He's got a contract here at Chelsea till 2030 with a year extension option if he wants it to. Not like a 7-year contract isn't long enough as it is. As he switched out to the left here to Gallagher. Cucurella tries to go forward. Deflects, headed forward by Guimaraes, but only as far as Fernandez, who down the left-hand side finds Mudryk. 1-2 with Jackson. Brilliant from Mudryk, then back through for Jackson to his right. Jackson now to Palmer, edge of the area. Gusto overlaps, doesn't use him, and then tackled by Willock on the edge of the box. Palmer took too long there, and Newcastle can try and bring it forward. Anderson finds Livramento, who gets beyond Fernandez. Livramento down the left-hand side, still going here, the number 21, who's then tackled from behind by Caicedo, and that'll be a foul and a yellow card. I think he's gone through the man there, Caicedo, to have a nick at the ball. But someone had to stop Livramento. He got on his bike there, and he wasn't being stopped. He's definitely been one of Newcastle's better performers tonight. Livramento maybe try to prove something against his former club. Yeah, tripped quite blatantly there by Caicedo, who's still yet to score in a Chelsea shirt. Played the majority of the games this season, 35 of the 38 they've played in all competitions. There's a ball here on the near side, left wing for Newcastle, about 35 yards from goal, so quite far out, but it's a decent angle for a cross, and Murphy's crossing has been up to standard tonight. He's put some good balls in, and he's going to try it again. Murphy, he goes short to Guimaraes, then back out wide to Murphy, who on his weaker foot, he's tackled by Mudryk, but they will win a corner from it. I feel like they had a good enough angle to just cross it straight away there, Newcastle. I don't know why they went short and then went back out wide, especially with Murphy on the left-hand side. He's right-footed, so he just couldn't quite get it on his right foot there. So it'll be a right-footed in-swinger from Murphy. I'm presuming he's just going to put this in the box. That'll be the best case scenario. And it goes near post, hits the first man. Mudryk clears, but straight back to Murphy. On a bit of a better angle, can put the ball back in and then straight into the hands of the goalkeeper. As I talk up his crossing, he's just put 2 rubbish crosses in. But Petrovic's throw straight to Isak, who's covering at the back there for Newcastle. On a right wing position at the moment. Isak on the edge of the area. He's got Gallagher in front of him. Lays it behind him to Guimaraes. Back through for Isak. It's cut out by Cucurella. And then Fernandez on the edge of the box, being pulled back by Longstaff, but he can work it through the bodies here to Caicedo, who can't work it through the body of Botman. Cuts out on halfway. And it's Newcastle again on this near side with Willock. Midway side the Chelsea half here with Guimaraes. Looking out to the Newcastle left, but being closed down by Mudryk, so being forced out to the Newcastle right now with Kraft. It's on the halfway line with Cher. All Chelsea players currently behind the ball. Guimaraes on halfway forward to Anderson. Gets the return. Guimaraes, he's got options out wide right. Just delaying the pass at the moment here, Guimaraes, until it seems to be the perfect one, and he eventually plays it to Kraft, inside to Longstaff, in a right wing position, floats one to the far post, nodded down by Willock towards Isak. Will a drop for him? Oh, it's just taken off him by Disasi, who slid in, and he had to get that right, and Fernandez slices it in the air, and it's going to be volleyed out of play by Gusto for a Newcastle throw-in towards the final third on the near side, starting to become a bit edgy now for Chelsea. Livramento with the throw, waiting for a bit more movement from his team. Finds Anderson, who's come off the bench, and he goes back to the halfway line here to Botman. Across to Share in the centre circle. It's now with Kraft at right back. Forward for Murphy, inside to Longstaff, returns it to Murphy, then forward to Guimaraes, then through for Longstaff in the final third. Crosses first time, another float to the far post, nodded inside. Livramento will get onto it, and he'll be blocked. And he'll fall for Caicedo, who hurries a clearance away. Up to Jackson, who gets away from Botman on the Chelsea left, into the Newcastle half. Jackson's away. He's got Palmer across in the box. Jackson holds it up into the area on the edge of the box, squares it. Mudryk takes over, takes on one. Mudryk goes round the goalkeeper, and it's into the back of the net. That is what Mykhailo Mudryk can do. He's scored now in back-to-back games against Newcastle, both here at Stamford Bridge. And as it seemed like Newcastle were sneaking their way back into the game, looking for that equaliser, Chelsea on the counter have burst that bubble in the hope of a 2-2 scoreline. It's now gone to 3-1 instead. And a brilliant bit of feet there from Mudryk. Jackson really well worked on the left-hand side to keep the ball away from Botman. And as he charged towards the final third, just held it up. Patient. Brought Gallagher into play, who then let the ball roll through for Mudryk, who got it through the legs of Share. Run at the goalkeeper. Didn't panic. Went beyond him. I think there was a step over involved for Mudryk as he ran towards the goalkeeper. Just a slight little feint of the body to deceive the goalkeeper. Around he went, and from a couple of yards, just had to slot it into the back of the net. It was almost blocked off the line. It wasn't too far away. That is a naughty nutmeg there on Fabian Schär. And then Mudryk went around the goalkeeper, and as the ball went towards goal, he was just about able to squeeze it in. And off the bench, the substitute works for Pochettino. It's a much needed goal for Mudryk, who gets his fourth of the season in the Premier League. His third at home. His previous two came against London opposition of Palace and Arsenal, but this one's against the Toon Army of Newcastle. And it's Chelsea 3, Newcastle 1. This is definitely a game that could have gone either way, but thankfully for Chelsea, it is them who lead. Murphy in the box on the right side, clips a crossing again, but it's well caught by Petrovic. What an impact off the bench. Mudryk hasn't started any of the last 8 Premier League games and hasn't really made much of an impact when coming on, but tonight that has been completely different, and away he comes again on the left-hand side. Mudryk running at Schär. We know what just happened with that one. Plays it through towards Gallagher, cut out though in the end there by Guimaraes, and it's back in possession for Newcastle, whose away woes look to continue. They've already lost 7 Premier League games this season. It could be 8. Jackson through to Palmer in the box. Dubravka wants to come, and he will get there. And he'll roll it out quickly here. Dubravka to the edge of the box. And it'll be Guimaraes to bring it forward. Plays it to the left here to Anderson. Beyond the halfway line. Has to go back to the halfway line to Willock. As it looks like that's just knocked the sails out of Newcastle a little bit, who look to be getting close to an equaliser before the Chelsea third goal. As Guimaraes obviously didn't get a shout there because Palmer's just come behind him sneakily and just takes the ball off him. Tired that, I think, from Guimaraes. Not usually something he would do in the midfield, just give the ball away like that, but obviously didn't hear a shout of some kind, clearly. It's Chelsea who are on the ball. Gusto on halfway on this near side. Goes back to Disasi. As it looks like Newcastle are going to make some more changes. See a bit of movement in their technical area. I think one of them is going to be the number 40 of Joe White. And the other is going to be maybe the number 67 of Lewis Miley. Two youngsters coming on. Caicedo on this near side, keeping it away from Anderson, then tripped by the Newcastle midfielder. Free kick just towards the halfway line for Chelsea. Never stops, does he, in that midfield? Caicedo is a constant engine. As Newcastle going to make those two changes. Lewis Miley had started 8 games in a row in the Premier League, but he's been on the bench for the last 2 against Wolves and Chelsea. But he'll come on now for the remaining 10 minutes or so of this game. So Miley will replace Newcastle's number 28 of Willock, who's made his 98th appearance for Newcastle tonight, getting close to that century mark of appearances. And the second change, we'll see Bruno Guimaraes, who we just said made a bit of a tired mistake giving the ball away. He'll come off for number 40, and that is Joe White, making just his second ever Newcastle appearance. He spent the first half of the season on loan in League 2 with Crewe, and now he's on for the second time for Newcastle. His debut was against Bournemouth back on the 17th of February at St James's Park, and he's on again today. As you know, if Newcastle could maybe get 1 goal back, then it's back to just 1 goal in it. Chelsea have it on halfway with Enzo Fernandez. Goes to the left back of Cucurella. This Chilwell is missing tonight. Completely out of the matchday squad as Cucurella gives it away on halfway. Miley into Murphy. Tripped by Cucurella. Free kick for Newcastle. Just inside the Chelsea half on the far side. Worked out nicely to the Newcastle right. Murphy into the box here to Joe White. Just forced out wide. White still has it for Newcastle. Back to Murphy. Crosses first time. Header won by Chalobah. Controlled by Kraft. It's now Miley. He goes back to the halfway line to Share, and then back to Dubravka. And the momentum of the attack just softens for Newcastle as they're on the near side with Livramento. Halfway line now with Miley, who gets away from Caicedo, but the pass is just loose. Picked up by Fernandez ahead of Anderson. Then Palmer out to the left here to Gallagher. It's just been a little bit non-existent in this game. I mentioned it before, but it's not really changed for Gallagher, who seemed to have played in a bit more of a left wing position tonight. And the player who usually plays left wing for Chelsea, if that's Sterling or Mudryk, they've been a little bit more central. That's midway side of the Chelsea half with Trevor Chalobah. It's now Disasi to bring it forward for Chelsea. Out to the left it goes it. Nice ball to Gallagher, who goes beyond the halfway line and plays it forward for Palmer, whose touch comes off Kraft. Picked back up for Newcastle in their 18-yard box here with Sven Botman now on the ball. So we're coming towards the end of this game, just over the 82nd minute. Miley, 5 yards away from the halfway line, goes to his left there to Anderson. Forward to Isak, who tries to take it under control, but can't get it away from Disasi. And it's now back with Gusto, who just clears long from right back. No one's there to chase it for Chelsea. Through for Newcastle to rebuild from the back. It's now with Miley, the recent substitute, forward here to White. The two substitutes linking up together. It's played out to the right by Longstaff to Murphy. Should have an overlap of Kraft, as Murphy will take it on his own with a low ball through, and it's just gone beyond Isak. He'll be kept in here by Livramento, right on the byline. Finds Anderson on a bit more of a nicer angle. Tries to go through towards White. Cut out by Gusto. It'll be Caicedo to bring it away. To his left to Palmer. Back forward to Caicedo, who's got Gallagher making a marauding run to the left, and he finds him. Here is Gallagher in the final third. Wants to go onto his right foot, but he's not allowed to. Good tackle there by Anderson, who wins possession back for Newcastle. But it's such a good ball again by Murphy, whose crossing has been okay this game. When he wants it to be good, he's put a good ball in there, and Isak just couldn't quite get it on goal as it's given away by Murphy to Jackson in the box. Tackled quickly there by White. And again, Newcastle back on the ball in their defensive third. They get rid. Ball down the right-hand side. Isak will chase it. Disasi gets there first. Back to his goalkeeper, Petrovic. He then goes forward there to Enzo Fernandez, midway side his own half. And this time it's Chelsea on the ball. As Newcastle try and press as high as possible as it's Petrovic in this 18-yard box. Lifts the ball out to the right-hand side here. Header won by Botman. Inside to Miley on halfway. He goes back to Share. Lifts it out to the Newcastle left. It's cut out by the volley of Gusto, but only as far as Anderson, who will drive inside now with the ball. Onto his right foot. Needs to release it. Eventually does to Isak. It's now out to the right-hand side to Murphy, who's got an overlap of Kraft. Murphy in the box. Crosses himself. It comes off Gallagher. And it'll be kept in by Kraft. Back into Murphy again. Forward into the area to Longstaff, who has his back to goal. Relays it into Murphy, whose cross comes off Cucurella. And it's a corner for Newcastle, who, despite being 2 goals down at the moment, are definitely attempting to try and get back in the game, despite not having a lot of time left. Chelsea are going to make a very late change here. The number 20, Cole Palmer, who has scored and assisted tonight, will be replaced by Cesare Cassidy, who spent the first half of the season on loan at Leicester, but was recalled to give Chelsea a bit more cover in the midfield. Made it 2-1. Cole Palmer to score his 15th goal of the season in all competitions for both Manchester City and Chelsea. Scored in the Community Shield and the UEFA Super Cup for Manchester City as the corner goes in. Still in the lair, still alive for Newcastle as Jackson tries to keep it away from goal. Eventually it's cleared by Cucurella, not very convincing. Kept alive here for Newcastle in the final third on the far side here with Kraft. Forward for Murphy, trying to find Longstaff in the area, but it goes through to the goalkeeper of George Petrovic. Out to the right back, Gusto. First few touches on the ball for Cassidy. Keeps the ball away from Newcastle's Joe White. And it's now Chelsea settled on the ball in their own half at the moment with Cassidy. To the edge of the box to Disasi. Newcastle deciding to press high. Gusto facing his own goal here, the number 27. Having to find the goalkeeper of Petrovic, who clears it first time. It's a long clearance up to the halfway line where it's headed on by Cassidy. Played forward by Botman to Longstaff, who takes too long on the ball. Tackled well by Cassidy. Fernandez into Mudryk, who can go again. Who can set himself free again. Mudryk down the right-hand side towards the byline. He's allowed to get the cross in, and it's collected by Dubravka. Looks like Mudryk just collided into the advertisement boards as Murphy helps him back up, but the play's been allowed to continue here. As Anderson overruns it straight at Gusto. I just don't see what Newcastle see with Elliot Anderson. This is not a personal dig at the Newcastle number 32. He signed a new 4-year deal back in September 2022, but every time I've seen him, I just don't think he's cut out to play at this level. Like I say, Elliot Anderson, this is his 44th Newcastle first team appearance, and he's never scored a goal for them. Just surely that's got to show signs. Just there, he's fresh off the bench, but he's playing like he's played the full 90 minutes. Just lazy, not playing the ball quick enough, and he just gives it away and then commits a foul and gives a free kick away. I just don't see what Eddie Howe sees in him, and at the minute, I'm just waiting for him to probably score now. I've just said that and just had a bit of a go at him, but we can all have opinions. As Gusto at right back for Chelsea, trying to bring the ball forward, just plays it back here to Cassidy. And it does look like Chelsea are going to gain 3 points, which will put them a point behind Newcastle in 10th position, but it is very close. From 7th to 11th, the gap will just be 4 points. So, that final European spot is very much still available for anyone to take in the top half of the table. It's Disasi on the edge of the box, forward to Mudryk. Back into Cassidy, just filling in at right centre-back at the moment. Back to Petrovic, who clears it away from goal here. Up towards Caicedo. Deflects it to Gallagher, who heads forward to Jackson. Then back through towards Gallagher. Bit of a short pass there in the end. Dealt with by Scher. As Botman tries to take on Jackson. The two are battling out for the ball, and it's the Dutchman to come out on top. It's Newcastle with it. Forward, taken on the turn by Anderson. Then through into the space here towards Livramento, who looks to have just ran his race there. Just ran out of pace completely. Dealt with by Gusto into the 18-yard box to Disasi. Forward to Fernandez, across to Chalobah, who just clears it away. Not taking any risks late on. But it'll be Newcastle back on the ball on the halfway line with Fabian Scher. So we are running out of time here at Stamford Bridge. And it looks like Newcastle are going to pick up their 8th away loss of the season in the league. Murphy crosses low. Comes off Cucurella. throwing in this final third here for Newcastle, taken quickly by Kraft into Murphy again. He's now on the halfway line here with Fabian Schär. Forward by Longstaff to Murphy. Finds Kraft. Murphy goes down over the challenger Cucurella. Nothing given. Play carries on as Newcastle still have it. With Miley forward to Murphy. That's brilliant on the turn. Taking Cucurella out of the game. Then Murphy will absolutely slam that ball into the back of the net. That is a bullet from Murphy, who came on in the first half of the injured Gordon. And he's had a pretty solid performance. And it's capped it off with a goal. And it gives Newcastle a slight glimmer of hope at the end of this game. And with 6 minutes just indicated for adding on time, a point could still be on here for Newcastle. Receive the ball outside the area from Miley, completely taking Cucurella out of it, who just committed way too much. And I don't know if Murphy had a little bit of anger in him. I think he was getting a bit of stick from the Chelsea supporters. As he celebrated, he pointed towards the home support and the home crowd. And just straight into the top right corner at the near post. No chance of Petrovic saving that one. He could not have hit that any harder. Jacob Murphy, who scores his second goal of the season. They both come in the Premier League. His last one was in mid-October to Crystal Palace. And that's probably the best of the lot. That's his 10th Premier League goal in his career. And that just might spur Newcastle on for an equaliser with 5 minutes to play. Substitute made there for Chelsea. Chukwuemeka's come on as Gallagher hits from afar. And that's well saved by Dubravka, who's aiming towards the top left corner from around 25 yards out. And Murphy will bring it away, tackled by Cucurella this time. And it's Newcastle to send it away down the right. Cucurella out of position. Murphy wants it. Chalobah comes across and tackles him. And that's a throw-in the final third for Newcastle, as we could be on for an equaliser here. I'm not quite sure who Chukwuemeka replaced there. It's Jackson, so Jackson off for Chukwuemeka. As it's Murphy in the right wing position. He's got Gallagher in front of him here. Wants to cross it with his left foot. It's a low one. Scooped down with the header there, Fernandez. But he can't be kept by Chukwuemeka, but he deflects back to him very fortunately. And it's Chukwuemeka running at Schär. Midway inside the Newcastle half. Chukwuemeka with it. Tackled from behind by Miley. Good midfield work there from the 17-year-old. And Newcastle does seem a bit low on energy, but they're definitely still in this game. It's been a really exciting one here at Stamford Bridge tonight. Miley on halfway, forward into the centre circle, now to Longstaff. Schär from right centre half on that far side, trying to build the play up from the back. Not quite got the pass available to him forwards, just has to go across to his left to Botman. It's now out to the near side here to Livramento. Down the line here for White. Keeps it away from Disasi. Deflects off Cassidy. Quickly taking throw in here for Newcastle by Anderson. It's now again on the halfway line here with Botman. Across to the right to Schär, who's got the captain's armband on for Newcastle. Murphy. Kicked away from him by Cucurella. Kept alive by Kraft, who has it. Running forward into the area towards the byline. Longstaff keeps it in. Isak lifts it into the box, but it's too easy for Petrovic, who could catch unopposed. And with 3 minutes to play of added on time, Chelsea are just about hanging on here. The 3 draws that Chelsea have picked up at home have all come against the top 3 sides of Arsenal, Liverpool and City. And they could be falling to a 4th home draw in the league this season as Murphy can't get around Cucurella on halfway. Runs out of pitch on the far side. And that'll be a Chelsea throw-in. Thought the referee may have gave a free kick for Newcastle. Slight pull on Murphy, but not enough to give the free kick. Thrown down the line. Oh, wow. Cucurella has been found guilty of a foul throw. So it's Newcastle's throwing on the halfway line. Back into their own half here to Schär. And Newcastle can build from the back and try and get this late equaliser. Livramento getting the ball away from Cassidy, but being fouled by the Italian midfielder. But it's been taken quickly by Newcastle. Anderson went quick. Botman switches out to the right. Brought down by Murphy, but straight to Gallagher on the far side. And he wants a 1-2 with Fernandez, and he completes it. Gallagher has it. And then back it goes to Cucurella in a left-back position. Forward to Fernandez. Switches it to the right back, Augusto. He's being closed down quickly here by Anderson. Gusto has it, facing his own goal. Goes to Disasi. He will go forward down this near side and clip it. Looking for Mudryk, who controls well. Mudryk on the ball. Inside to Chukwuemeka. Wants the 1-2. And the free kick goes Chelsea's way. As Mudryk tried to make a run off the ball, he was blocked off. And a yellow card's been given by the referee. It's the way to kill the clock there by Mudryk. Controlling that long ball well. Trying to complete the 1-2, but dragged down by Joe White. And that is a Chelsea free kick. And with less than a minute of the added on time to play, Chelsea may have just about seen this result through here. It won't take Chelsea up the table. They will stay in 11th, but they are much closer to the top 7 teams, top 8 teams in the league with those European spots. As the free kick's taken towards the corner flag, Fernandez shielding the ball, kicking it off Livramento, then back off Fernandez, and then out for a throw for Newcastle. Fernandez doesn't believe that touch came off him last. As the thrown's taken and volleyed forward by Botman. We've played the 6, but we'll have an extra minute, I believe, as Chukwuemeka tries to take it on the turn in the box, but it's dealt with by Cher. Kraft chasing the ball down. Tackled by Gallagher fairly, but it drops to Murphy. Then Miley goes long here, looking for the run of Longstaff. Chalobah gets there on the edge of the box and just hurries a clearance out of play with his left foot. Like I say, there'll be about a minute added on because of the goal scored by Murphy. Once the restart had happened, we'd already played a minute of the added 6. There's a throw-in, goes back to the halfway line to Cher. They just need to go a bit route one here, and they will. Long ball into the box, headed on by Anderson, and it's straight out of play for a goal kick. Rather anticlimactic to end the game, but Chelsea won't care as the full-time whistle's blown by John Brooks. And it finishes here at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea 3, Newcastle 2. It's been a brilliant watch. Fantastic game of football. Especially the second half, 2 teams going at it for the goals. And it was Chelsea to score 3. Newcastle just the 2. And it gives the home side an important 3 points. It takes their tally up to 39. And they are just a point behind Newcastle in 10th with a game in hand. So a game in hand for Chelsea would put them right up into those European spots. And they've done back-to-back wins against Newcastle at home, beating them in the League Cup quarter-final in December. Now in the Premier League, coming into mid-March. And the game was all square at half-time. A Nicholas Jackson goal in the 6th minute. It was a delightful flick from the Senegalese striker to work a Palmer off-target shot on target. And it gave Chelsea an early lead, but it was Newcastle who dominated the possession in that first half, and they were rewarded for their attempts with the ball, with a goal. Isak on the edge of the area, working it quickly onto his right foot and wrapping the ball into the bottom right corner. And it gave Newcastle a deserved equaliser. But in the second half, it was end-to-end stuff. It was pretty even, but it was just Newcastle who couldn't quite match the Chelsea attempts on goal. It did seem like Chelsea just seemed a little bit more clinical at goal. And Cole Palmer got his goal with his assist in the 57th minute. On the edge of the area, on the right-hand side. It looked like he was going to try and maybe shoot towards the far corner, but just wrapped it into the near post beyond Dubravka, who I think was deceived. I think he thought that Palmer was going to go for the far post, but instead went to the near post, had the power to beat the Slovakian goalkeeper, and it gave Chelsea a 2-1 lead, and it was 3 with 15 minutes to play. They made it 3-1. Mikhailo Mudryk off the bench for Sterling, receiving the ball on the edge of the area from Gallagher, putting it through the legs of Cher, rounding the goalkeeper of Dubravka and putting it into the back of the net. Just about, it was nearly blocked off the line, but it had enough power on it for Mudryk to get his goal off the bench. And for Mikhailo Mudryk, it is just his 6th Chelsea goal, and they have all come this season under Maurizio Pochettino. But Newcastle didn't give up the fight. They scored right on 90 minutes with Jacob Murphy, who came on in the first half for the injured Anthony Gordon, hit a shot as hard as you'll see, rocketed into the top right corner beyond Petrovic at the near post. No chance for the Serbian goalkeeper, and it gave Newcastle a glimmer of hope in added on time, but it just seemed like they ran out of legs, ran out of the energy to really go and push on for an equaliser. And at the end here at Stamford Bridge, we've had a 5-goal thriller, and it finishes Chelsea 3, Newcastle 2. Really good game, that. Newcastle are the team who've come out on top. It's Newcastle who are going away empty-handed. But really, just end-to-end stuff that second half. I think if anyone else was watching it, I think you'd agree. Just quite a refreshing game to watch, because these days it's so... I mean, I like it. I like the tactical stuff these days in football, but, you know, it's just so... It's just, for me, sometimes it's just a bit boring football these days, because you've got such in-depth tactical setups where players go here and then they have to be... It just all seems a bit too much for me sometimes. Prime examples, Brighton with De Zerbi. He's playing a too in-depth system for what he's got at Brighton, and sometimes it's just boring. They just have the ball and do nothing with it. And that second half, the shows just go two teams going for it. It's just a lot more fun to watch than sometimes these teams just try and do too much tactically. They just try and be too technical with it, when sometimes just keep it simple tactics, and sometimes you just can't go wrong with that. And yeah, I've enjoyed tonight. It was a good game. I enjoyed that a lot. Great commentary. Cheers, mate. Thank you very much. Wish we play like... Hey, we eventually trust the process. It will come. Believe. Like, you know, it'll come. We do it more than you think. We just don't get the results for it every time, which is annoying, but that will change next season. Come on, Tottenham. The great result for Tottenham yesterday. That was a brilliant second half from Ange Postecoglou's team, winning 4-0 at Villa. Looks like Tottenham will be gaining that 4th place come the end of the season, but they're not there yet. They are 5th at the moment, but 2 points behind with a game in hand, so it looks like they might be able to take that top 4 spot. But that will be the end of the live commentary for tonight. Make sure you're back tomorrow, same time, 8 o'clock. Arsenal taking on Porto in the second leg of their Champions League last 16 tie. They are 1-0 down on aggregate, so that should be an interesting one at the Emirates. But here at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea just about edged past Newcastle, winning by 3-2. 5 different scorers, and it's Chelsea who take the 3 points. They are still in the bottom half of the table, but they are right behind those teams chasing those European spots. So it will be a close end at the season to see who finishes in 6th and 7th. But at the minute for Chelsea, it's 11th place, but they are right behind those just ahead of them, as it will be a fine battle for those European spots. But here at Stamford Bridge, it finishes Chelsea 3 and Newcastle 2.